Well. Today's episode of the First Mint actually breaks our own record. It's longer than I could have ever anticipated. I think by the time you're listening to this and I edit this part in, it's going to be like 2.5 hours. And honestly, we never really intended for these to go so long. But I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of genuinely enjoying the conversation that Phil and I are having, especially the parts that aren't about NFTs. I love talking about NFTs, the projects, our negative gripes, our hot takes, all that kind of stuff, the community. Super fun. But it's nice to catch up. And I think a lot of people like hearing Phil's stories, like hearing my takes on just general things going on out there. So, I think we're going to keep that up for a little bit. So I'll tell you right now, if you want to skip to the NFT portions, you can listen off the bat because we do talk about Top Shot community programs and what's happening to them and Phil and mine's experience in them. And then you can go to the hour and 15-minute mark. I'm not kidding, which is when we actually start to talk about the First Mint's role in the NFT community, whether we should be doing what we're doing, whether I'm too negative and a lot of other stuff. But from there, we kind of free roll into the rest of the NFT conversation. Other topics that we touch on today is whether some of these products should be propping up utility. And Phil and I have very different takes there. And then we also go through the different drops happening this week, including UFC Strike, Candy Digital, the Top Shot challenges that dropped last week. We talk about I guess like a couple business ideas, because right now, obviously, a lot of these products are struggling to attract users. And Phil and I come up with impromptu, kind of like a brainstorm on some ideas for businesses that can help businesses like Dapper, Sorare, Candy, all them attract new users. And it honestly, a lot of it comes back down to meeting fans where they are, maybe following a bit more of a Reddit model. And then towards the end of the show, around the 2 hour and 10-minute mark, we get to this week's hot take of the week, which is asking you guys. And so we asked you guys on Twitter, how can you get the real Phil D into a project? We got a lot of fantastic responses, and we picked the silliest ones and the best ones to have Phil pick the best one, and the person who won is going to get themselves a nice little prize. Also, the first couple of minutes of the pod, we actually give away a POAP, so make sure you're one of the first 100 people to get that POAP. So you have to listen very carefully in the first couple of minutes for when that POAP comes up. So I'll say in advance, thank you for listening to this very long 2.5 hour long episode of the First Mint. Very happy to have you. If you skip through parts of it, just to the good parts, whatever you consider that to be, that is totally fine too. So enjoy this very long episode of the First Mint.
Search is over, now welcome to First Mint. Looking for NFT content, look no further cause this is it. From Top Shot to blockchain, they got the data chops, analysis, impact drops, the show's equator hot. LG and Phil D, the best amongst others. Best brothers that happen to ball since the Ball Brothers. So settle in cause it's time for the best show. Ayo Quad, who we reppin'? First Mint. Let's go.
Hey, Phil D. Happy Monday. Bon lundi.
Hey, I thought you were going to say Happy Mother's Day. I recently found out that Mother's Day is not the same in every country in the world. I had no idea.
What?
There's like Mother's Days in all over the world at different times of the year. They are not all when we are used to having our Mother's Day. I'm serious. I saw this somewhere in the Middle East. It was Mother's Day a couple weeks ago. And then somewhere else in Europe was also Mother's Day like 3 weeks ago. So
jeez,
I thought you were
calendars, man.
Happy Mother's Day.
Different calendars. Has since you've had kids, has Mother's Day or Father's Day changed for you? Like is father, like, do you expect, especially your kids are grown up now, do you expect something decent on Father's Day?
I don't know, because that's just not like, I don't know. I feel like for me, Father's Day is still about our dad. Right. I think that as long as they're still an older dad than you, I think that that's kind of where it's like geared towards. But no, my kids have always given me, talking about my kids now, they're so old that it's not like they color at school and bring it home or make me one of those like, pencil holders or something like that. Which I did keep all of those. I actually have all of those that they made.
Oh, wow. That's sweet. Wow.
But like, no, it's not like that anymore. Now it's more like, maybe a gift card, a card, some socks, something like that, maybe a cologne, things like that. But I don't expect it. I mean, we were in NFT NYC last year for Father's Day, and I didn't.
Well, that's
care, right. So it's not like, I mean, I know some were like devastated that they were there for that, and I'm like, well, guess what? You don't have to be here. You can be home if you want. And they're like, no, I'd still rather be here. But yeah, no, I
remember,
get it.
Hold on. I have to talk about that. I remember when we were planning to go to NFT NYC last year, because it was in June, not in April like it is now, because they're greedy and they want to have as many conferences as they can. But I was like, we were planning it, and I was like, okay, Phil, we're gonna go to NFT NYC, but we're gonna be like taking the plane there on like the day before Father's Day. Like, is that a big deal? Are you okay? And I even offered, I was like, do you want to bring your family like for the weekend, and then we stay through the week to do NFT stuff? And you were like, fuck no. You're like, who cares? You're like, I'm the dad. I'm gonna go do whatever I want. And I was like, that's a perfect answer.
More like, yeah, for sure. Dads is more geared towards doing what you want. You know, a lot of dads go on golf trips, and you know. It's just, we don't celebrate it enough for it to be a big deal. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, it's not like you do a massive get together. I feel like Mother's Day is more celebrated than Father's Day. Father's Day has always been more about just letting the fathers do whatever they want, and, you know, getting a break from the kids and stuff like that. But again, my kids are old, so it's not getting a break from the kids. I have to beg for time with my kids. I don't even know where they are half the time, right? So it's not like I'm doing anything. I'm not getting away from them. I don't even see them to begin with. They're just never there. So,
man.
But yeah, anyways, all this because I thought you were wishing me a happy Mother's Day to open the show. Already we've derailed this.
I think we'd have some bigger problems if I was wishing you a happy Mother's Day, man. I think we'd have a whole other podcast that we could do.
We can't discuss that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, no.
But hey, before we continue, we have something we haven't done in a long time on the show. We have a POAP, proof of attendance protocol. So if you have we're actually, I don't know. I figured we could start doing some POAPs. POAPs is relaunched their like dashboard for making POAPs. So Phil, if you remember, you had to go and apply like in their Discord and wait forever to get approved. Now it's pretty fast. I just found this out the other day. They finally, after like years of basically being the same thing, have reorganized. So we have a POAP just for today's episode. You're going to need the mobile app for POAP to do this. I have it on my phone. I think most people have collected POAPs, have this. The code, all lowercase, is TFM 205. Really simple. There are only 100 of them, and Phil and I already have number 1 and 2 because we're testing. So go right now. We're recording this at like 1 o'clock Pacific on Monday, 4 o'clock Eastern. It'll probably be posted a little bit 2 hours after that. So if you're around then, or it's Tuesday morning or whatever, there might be some left. But run, don't walk to get this POAP. TFM 205 is the secret word. Nothing is happening with that POAP. It will not grant you an airdrop or any of that kind of shit.
Come on, man. I was just going to tell people if they collect all of them, they might get something nice.
No. Let's all the regulation. No way. You will get nothing from this. Nothing ever. Okay. There's nothing good will happen to you if you get this POAP, other than you're just going to get a POAP with our faces on it, with our AI generated faces that we made for the relaunch of the show. So anyways, get your POAP. It's the only time I'll say it during the episode. Phil, we got a lot to talk about today. I want to ask you about March Madness, which was again delivered one of the best March Madness tournaments probably in a long time. I do want to talk about, am I personally too negative about the sports industry, or is it the sports NFT industry just kind of sucks right now? I want to talk about drops coming this week, as well as Top Shots drop last week, and then a few kind of random topics like Pranksy and a secret F1 project and another executive leaving Dapper. We'll talk about that towards the end of the show, as well as the hot take of the week. But Phil, honestly, the biggest story this past week has been the developing Phil versus the Jurassic Pack drama. If you guys listened to the entire first hour of last week's episode, which none of it was about NFTs, it was mainly just Phil telling stories about abusing minor league hockey referees, but then also going to a Raptors game and wanting to meet members of the Jurassic Pack Top Shot group there, and there being nobody. But then later on, someone trying to speak to Phil, and that person being given the cold shoulder by Phil. We're still not sure exactly what happened here. Phil, tell us what your DMs have been like since that episode was posted.
I think his name is Mr. Snap. I can't really remember. Anyways, he added me on Twitter, and he's still going. Like, the guy is he's still adamant that he tried to talk to me. Like, not tried to get my attention. There's a big difference, LG, between trying to get my attention and talking to me. And he claims on Twitter he's adding more fuel to the fire. So now I think he's starting to make stuff up in his own mind that happened in his mind. It didn't really happen. He says that he talked to me face to face and I ignored him. Like, on what planet do you know me to do that? Seriously. Is that my style to see someone eye to eye? They say something, I'm just like, I'm not talking to you. No. Okay. Obviously, it wasn't me. It's probably talking to someone on the other side. But this person is still going, and he's saying no hard feelings. But like, I feel like I'm the one who got slided in this whole thing, because the day after we did the show last week, I started getting DMs from all sorts of people that had their own Top Shot experiences with their own team groups, including the Raptors. You had mentioned this last year on the air, and I didn't realize what you were talking about. But apparently 2 nights after I went, there was a gigantic Jurassic Park event where everyone went on the court. They took pictures together. They had a pregame party. I had some DMs of people from Alberta, which is all the way out on the West Coast, DMing me saying they flew from Alberta. There was a big pregame party at a bar. Then they all partied at the game. Then they went on the court. They took pictures. I'm like, dude, this is exactly the experience I was looking for. Instead, I was given 2 tickets without. And here's the deal. Let's get this clear just off the top, because I know a lot of the members of Jurassic Park do listen to this podcast. I do not have a problem with a single person at Jurassic Park. I actually love being in the Discord. I love the people there. I love everything they do. I love the leadership there. And I'm serious. I get along with everybody. I don't have beef. Like, I complain a lot during Raptors games when they're losing and playing like shit. I'll go in there and bash the team. And some people don't like that. But that's just me as a sports fan. That has nothing to do with anything. So anyways, but my expectation, again, was to go to this Raptors game, like I've seen for a year now and more, and meet all sorts of people that are part of Jurassic Park and have a great experience, like go crazy during the game, like, oh my God, you're so-and-so, like buy some beers for each other, just go nuts. And I was given 2 tickets to a game where I got there. The entire aisle was empty at the start of the game. I sat by myself with my daughter. There was a supposed person coming from Vancouver on an airplane, and he never showed up. And then when the game ended, I was told that like he was trying to talk to me the whole game. Like, come on, dude. Anyways, so I started getting DMs literally from people from every single Top Shot group out there. And they were all like, man, they were so supportive. They're like, I'm so sorry you had that experience. That is not what any of us are about. I'm like, hold on a second. Any of us? Like, hold on. These communities, are they just one big community of people who like go to the games and party? I don't know. They're like, come on over to our side. If you come to our town, we'll take care of you. If you come to a Bucks game, we promise we'll take care of you in the big group, and we'll take you on the court and all that. And this wouldn't have happened if you were in Orlando, and things like that. And I'm just like, well, I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, it was overwhelming amount of support of people apologizing for my bad experience, which at the end of the day, LG, I got to watch a great basketball game, and I got to watch it with my daughter, and I got to boo, and I got to scream, and I got to do all my crazy stuff. So I'm not complaining about that, but there's a side of the story that just won't die. And it's that I completely kind of blackballed this guy by not talking to him. Okay. And making things worse is that tweet that went out by Jurassic Park that day saying to this guy who said he's coming from all the way to the West Coast and he's going straight to the game, that he will be sitting beside a celebrity and then tagging my name. Hold on. Who will take care of you. That's where we all went wrong with this.
Wait, Phil, like as in like Phil's going to take care of you?
Who will give you a welcome or something like that. I can't remember what was said in the tweet, but it was he will welcome you, a good Toronto welcome, which would put the expectations in anybody's mind of me obviously taking care of this person.
You're the host. That would make, if I saw that, I was on my way to the game, I'd be like, oh, Phil D is hosting a giant group of people. Okay. And then if I get there and you're like screaming at the game, I would be like, okay, this is getting a little weird.
Well, I think this is where the disconnect is that no, I'm not the host. I was actually looking for a host. I was more looking for more people, either wearing the gear or anything like that. And it just didn't happen. But the outreach that the communities out there have all reached out. They've been in my DMs all week and they're like, yeah, we'll take care of you. I'm so sorry that happened. Look at me. I got to shoot around with all the Orlando Magic players and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, nice. I was in row 15, which is 5 from the last row in the upper deck at the Raptors game, sitting in an empty row for 15 minutes, wondering if I'm even in the right seats. And at no point that night did I get to meet anyone. And making things worse, I was accused afterwards of ignoring someone there 3 times. And that thing just won't die. Look at all the tweets. It's still going. And I think this gentleman, who I think he's just
Mr. Snap.
Mr. Snap called himself a crazy Aussie shit disturber, which explains a lot because, I mean, he's still pouring fuel on this fire, saying that now it's the story's turned that he was face to face with me talking and I was just ignoring him like that. Like, let's be honest. Picture that for a second. Do you picture that? someone right in your face talking, you're not responding. Like, give me a break, man. Anyways, I had a few people DM me after saying, "Don't lie. I know you knew he was there. You just didn't want to talk to him." And
so the tweet from Jurassic Pack. So when Mr. Snap was on his way, he said they're going to go check out a game tomorrow. It's their first time going on holiday since moving to Vancouver from Australia.
Oh, wow.
And then they responded to him that day, and you get to sit next to a celebrity in the real Phil D and tagged you, hoping he can make you feel welcome in Toronto.
Oh my, there you go. There you go. All right. I don't know who did that.
And hold on. And then you retweeted it.
Well,
I retweeted them saying that about you. You can't.
Okay. Here's the deal. I'm not going to lie. I was at work that day. I really enjoyed being called a celebrity and being tagged. So when I saw that, I retweeted it, but I never scrolled up to see the original tweet. So I didn't even know what this guy looked like until the whole drama started after, and I had to pull it up.
Yeah.
So had I seen that, what he looks like, I probably would have recognized him at the game and said something. That I mean, that's my style. I will talk to anybody really and kind of connect with people. So, pretty exciting that. But hey, listen, all these offers from the other communities, I'll take those up too. I mean, I'll go shoot some hoops on the Suns court, like all that stuff. Like, yeah. But I just don't know how they kind of allocate or how they distribute the events from Top Shot. Like, do they get tickets to every game and then some people just get tickets? Or because the next night you said, LG, there was a huge gathering of like
clearly,
who did the full experience that I thought I was getting. Right.
I actually don't really know because I'm not very involved at that level. Like I know the Jurassic Pack guys and linked up with them to go to Portland, right? Like I told you about. But otherwise, I'm not super familiar with how the program, like how it works. I can give you my assumption is that basically, and I do find that this is like a lot of people say this, and I agree with it, is that this has been like the best thing that Top Shot has done in like for like pretty much ever. Right. Because even a lot of people, including some people who wrote into us this week, said that like, like everybody else, they came in 2 years ago, lost a bunch of money in that big boom, but have kind of stuck around and had a good time doing these kind of community pods, basically what it is, right? These little community programs. From what I understand, and this actually, there's a lot of drama about this last week that didn't flare up too much, but I don't know if you saw parts of it. And the drama was focused around infamous community member AG. And I'll explain that in a second. But basically, so since the start of this captain's program, which I think is about a year old, each team captain or team club basically gets $10,000 a month to go run events, buy tickets. Now some of them make merch or whatever that is, like whatever they want to do, which is why they've been able to send hundreds, thousands of people to the games, right? Because they can just go buy up rows of tickets. I think for some of the teams, where I want to choose my words carefully here, the team and the city are like more accessible, let's say, than the bigger ones. So I would consider Toronto's the 5th biggest city in North America. So Toronto's a massive city, and there's an enormous demand for the Raptors. So I would say it's hard probably for the Raptors captains to get in touch and have a good relationship with Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment, which owns the Raptors, versus a place like Orlando or Portland, where it's like, hey, that's one of the only games in town. It's not as big a city, probably easier to converse directly with the people. Like even I went on one Twitter Spaces once, ended up getting the phone number of like the head of marketing from the Trailblazers, because he was like, oh, when you come down, let me know. And then he sent me a text being like, oh, I wasn't able to come out when you were there, but let's link up next time. It'd be impossible to get that from somebody at the Raptors, is what I'm saying, right? So I think this has been a really successful program across the board, and even more successful for maybe the smaller market teams, where the captains have been able to get way more leverage, and the team has probably been way more into it, because the team should love this. It's like, hey, you're creating a whole new fan base for us, like of these digital collectors. That's really cool. So I'd say that is a fantastic program. I think in those other towns, it can run a lot further because the teams are more into it, and the teams are probably willing to do a lot more. And I'd say, even the one that you missed, that was probably, actually, I'll take it back. That was probably the Raptors getting more involved, because they had, a bunch of different Raptors celebrities at the event, the one that you missed like a couple days after you went. So clearly something the team's like. So that's all I know. And I think it's up to the captains to literally do whatever they want with that money. However, last week, there was an all captains meeting, and I'm regurgitating to you what I heard through the grapevine. Is last week there was an all captains meeting where it was announced that their budgets would be cut. Okay, and that all these community budgets for the different Top Shot communities, not just the team captains, but also the Nine Lives Lounge, which is a group that you aspire to join because you want to finish the Cool Cat set. So it might be more affordable very soon, and which has also been labeled the Soho House of NBA Top Shot, as well as the VIP program. Although that part I'm not quite sure how that works. Their budgets to do promotions and to buy tickets and do all this fun stuff is being cut. It's not being cut entirely, but it's being cut down. And I don't know what it's being. The rough number I heard was it's going from 10,000 a month to 3,000 a month. But do not quote me on that. What I will say is when I thought it was like $10,000 like a quarter or a year. $10,000 a month is a lot of freaking money. Like, especially for a weekly user base of like 5,000 people in all of Top Shot. That's a fuck ton of money, man. That's 120 grand per team per year.
No wonder the smaller markets get treated so well, because it's a smaller fan base, and man, they must have really been cashing in with that.
$10,000 a month to friggin' spend. You know what I mean? Like, and it's already people that want to buy stuff digitally, so the team can probably like remarket to them, sell them hats, all that kind of shit. So, anyways, so that's being cut. I don't think that $3,000 a month is necessarily unreasonable, especially going into the off season. Maybe they can save it. If they don't spend it, they lose it. I don't know how that works. But anyways, this was very like low key. Like, it wasn't, these Nine Lives Lounge VIP groups, team captains, they have been told, I think repeatedly now, to not leak information to us or to anybody else outside of those groups. Like, please, like, I think there's been a lot of contentious times where they've shared screenshots from conversations in there, and that's like a big no-no. Somebody recorded the team captains meeting and sent it to AG. And then serious? He posted the audio on Twitter. And then people were going nuts. And then he deleted it. I guess because he didn't
that kind of stuff. I really love that kind of stuff.
So that kind of set off a firestorm. And I mentioned it in the newsletter. I didn't mention the AG part, but I just mentioned the budgets are cut. I don't think it really affects the trajectory of the product. Like, the product needs to grow, and it's not doing that. And clearly the team captains thing has been a good positive for the current community, which is small, versus actually being a growth measure. So I don't think that doing that is necessarily the priority for Top Shot right now. So I don't think that's a bad move to cut it down. But a little bit of drama there around the communities program, Phil. So despite you had a lot of people reach out to you, I don't know how much money there's left in the bank to get you to go to another game anytime soon, especially with only a couple of games left in the season anyways, even for the Raptors.
That's right. I have to be fair, though. I think when we filled out the survey at the beginning of the year for the opportunity to get these tickets, I think you were able to pick which games you would like in sort of order. But it didn't say, like, it never said, like, hey, this game is the big experience where we're going to do, it didn't say how many tickets they had to each game. So for me, picking OKC as my top choice was a couple of factors. It was on a weekday, much easier for me to attend than a Saturday or whatever it was. They did a big party. And two, I really wanted to see SGA and Lou Dort and the OKC matchup. So for me, that was, but had it said that this is like, we have 4 tickets for that event, it'll be you and that dude from Vancouver, you and 2 other people, I would not have picked that. That's not what I'm looking for. I can go to any Raptors game on my own terms. But I was more looking. So I know a lot of people go because they can't get tickets or whatnot. For me, it was more about the community aspect and experiencing what I saw all these other people experience with the other teams, right? Like, I want to go shoot on the court with Pascal Siakam, whoever. I have hit 3-pointers in that arena before, and I want to go show that off. You know what I mean? That's what I want to do. I want to go drinking at the bar with these guys.
Your Tangerine experience. I forgot about
man. I'm going to send you the videos one day. We're going to roll these on the air here. They're pretty wild. We were playing against, like,
you were on the Nick Nurse team.
No, I was against Nick Nurse. I was talking shit to the guy the entire time. I have videos of me talking the biggest shit, and he keeps looking at me. And I'm just like, Nick, you went from coaching a championship team to this garbage, right? And he's losing like 40. Yeah, seriously, it was the year. He had not coached another NBA game since winning the championship. And that summer, he coached Team Canada, and there was a bunch of misfits on the team, and they didn't do that well. So he went from coaching the Raptors to a championship, to coaching a bad Team Canada team, to coaching the worst team he's probably ever coached with, like, investors and like contest winners that were non-basketball players.
So for context, Phil, like Tangerine is like a bank in Canada, like a decently big bank for investments and stuff. And Phil won like some kind of fan thing where
Twitter
you got
contest.
to go a Twitter contest. Sorry, you won a Twitter contest, and this is somehow Phil won this, and this is back in the days of Phil just complaining about traffic on Twitter. Like 99% of Phil's tweets were mad about traffic. Non-influencer, and Tangerine clearly freaking love that. And the Tangerine social media manager definitely, your traffic tweets definitely resonated with that person because they picked you, and you got to go play in this like game on the court at Scotiabank Center where one of the teams was who's your coach? Because one of the teams was coached by Nick Nurse, and it was you, other contest winners like Tangerine executives, like that kind of shit, right?
So it was an event that was it was called Be a Raptor for a Day.
That's right.
Yeah. So it was basically, we got to use the locker room. We got to experience the media side of things. We got everything. We did not know there would be Nick Nurse or anybody else there. We just knew that we were going to be Raptors for that. Like, they made jerseys for us. They were hanging in the lockers when we got there. We got to go through some drills and like some really, like those really low level drills where you just kind of like, bounce the ball around, pass it to somebody and stuff like that. But the highlight of the entire event was the game that we played at the end, where they separated us into the home and away jerseys. And when we got on the court, they had the Raptors the PA announcer there, the real one. They had the cheerleaders there, and they did the real game intros for each one of us. Like, and now coming in at 6'2" out of Toronto, Ontario, Phil Doucette, and we ran, gave the mascot the chest bumps and all that.
Awesome.
And then while we were in the locker room preparing for this game, they're like, we have a special guest for you guys. And Nick Nurse walks in, and everyone's like, oh my God, Nick Nurse, he just won the NBA championship. And he's like, I'll be coaching Team Black. I was on Team White. Then they're like, coaching Team White will be Adrian Griffin, the assistant coach of the Toronto Raptors. Okay. I'm like, all right, cool. All right. Sure. I know who he is. Like, whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
So, we hit the court, and they were kind of timed shifts. It was kind of like hockey, you had to change on the fly and stuff like that, because they just didn't have enough time to stop and be like, next 5. No. But when I got on the court, like, I wasn't coming off. I'm like, no, I'm staying on until they rip me off this court. And I'm just like, we're going to take over this game. And we destroyed Nick Nurse's team by at least 40 something. It was a real NBA game with real referees, the real time, the shot clock, all that. And yeah, if you saw some of these contest winners, and some of them were like investors, they were like 90-year-old dudes, okay, that have always dreamed of doing this, and they had brought their kids or whatever. The game was awful. So we decided not to go easy on anybody.
Crush those seniors.
We crushed them. Absolutely crushed them. And Nick Nurse, if you see him, he's an intense guy.
Yeah.
He was not smiling. Like, he was not having a good time. He was that competitive that in a random game of contest winners, he was pissed off, like really, really mad that his team was losing. And when I finally came off, I sat there, turned my camera on, and started talking all sorts of shit to him. And he was right in front of me, and he kept looking down like, what's this guy want? Like, who is this guy? I go, Nick, you went from coaching the Raptors to a championship win, to coaching Team Canada full of scrubs this summer, to coaching maybe the worst team of your entire life, pal. How does this feel? And he's just like,
do you like Nick Nurse?
I did. I still do, but no, seriously. I like Nick Nurse. Whether he's the right fit for the Raptors now, I'm starting to wonder. But at the same time, I understand. I mean, we don't have a superstar on the team, so I can't blame any coach when they don't have the type of personnel that these other top teams have. Because there's so many top teams in the league that don't have good coaches, and they make it work because they have superstars. So how do you know who's a good coach? I think his act is wearing a little thin in terms of, I don't know. And I think it's
all these weird tricks and shit like that. And
there's just some weird stuff.
A lot of complaining. I think the Raptors are building a reputation,
but there's nothing better out there.
That's for being the biggest complainers.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, but he's a notorious one, right? Like, he's always, he goes nuts.
Yeah, it's not good. It's a weird vibe right now.
But anyways, I had to get my chirps in. I always do.
Yeah.
And whether he liked them or not, but it was the truth. He was coaching the worst team of his life, and he went from a championship team to that, and he was miserable. He was completely miserable. And just for the hell of it, just being the prick that I like to be when I'm on the court, because it's a once in a lifetime experience. We were up by 45. There was like 10 seconds left. I demanded the ball. I dribbled up, and I just heaved another 3 and nailed it. Nothing but net at the end, like a jerk. Wow! But when will I ever play on the Raptors court again? Never.
No, so of course.
Why
you score as many
not?
Points on those 90-year-olds as you can.
Man. So experience of a lifetime. One guy that was on our team, and I didn't even realize who he was till after. was Steve Moore. Do you remember Steve Moore, the NHL player
Leafs?
that had his like neck? No, he had his neck broken by like Todd Bertuzzi there, and never played again. He was on my team.
What?
Yeah. I don't know where he came from. But
why was he there?
I don't know, man. He was talking to us the whole time, and I'm like, "You look really familiar."
Is he from Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, he's The Moore brothers are all from Toronto, and I think that he obviously had a connection that someone said, "Hey, do you want to play in this game and be part of this VIP experience?"
That's so random. Was he good?
He was really good. He's a really good athlete. Okay. And he was probably the best player on the team with the few of us that were really good. Yeah, so really interesting stuff. I would have loved actually if they had a couple of the actual Raptors playing in that game. I would have loved to like guard Fred VanVleet or some crap. I would have got destroyed, but just for the hell of it. But great experience. I'm not gonna lie. That's the kind of experience that for me, I'll never forget. Right. Wow. I don't expect that from Jurassic Park at all. But I just don't expect to sit.
I like you're bringing it all the way back to be Jurassic Park hasn't let you shoot threes over Nick Nurse.
But I've seen other people do that. So in this last week, the only things I've gotten in my DMs are videos like, hey, when I went to the Wizards experience, look at this. I got to shoot with Bradley Beal, or I got to meet him, and we got to heave some threes on the court and stuff like that. And it brought me back to that. Because you remember a couple of years ago there, I was taken on a VIP experience of the Raptors game from someone in the space, and I got to sit courtside, and I got to go to Drake's nightclub in the
secret nightclub. That's right.
So once you've set the bar that high to be given tickets to, and I know I sound
I mean that's not really fair because that guy brought you. That
wasn't
like an experience like something you won. Like he's literally just wanted to take you like for fun.
That's right.
So that's not you can't really like compare that.
No. What I'm saying is the bar was set so high at the time that for me, while still being in the space, and then I get the tickets, which again, I'm thankful. I got to go to the game with my daughter, and that's all I care about. Right. But it's hard to meet the standards that I had set, and especially that I didn't get to meet people. For me, it was just like, but again, I'm not the one. I didn't say a word after that game. It's that other guy that's talking, not me.
No, you know what I will say is, I mean, okay, it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't think it makes sense to compare it to your experience at Drake's Club or the Tangerine. Because Tangerine is like a giant bank, and they do that shit all the time, and they have way more pull, and they're like an official sponsor of the team. So that's like they can do whatever they want. I think
they're owned by Scotiabank too, who's the sponsor.
Yes, who's the sponsor of the arena. So it's not. It doesn't make any like it's not comparable. Jurassic Park is an independent group, and Top Shot has charged these groups, like giving them the money boost, but I don't think they've done much else. I think it's kind of up to each group to kind of manage themselves as they can, and to be as industrious as they want. So, I think that kind of ends up determining it. I think what you wanted, Phil, was the social experience. You wanted to like meet
100%.
People. So I think we can cap it there. I think that's what Phil wants. Jurassic Park, if you're listening, make it happen. If there's a play-in game and you can't get tickets, just bring Phil to Jurassic Park with you, to the area outside the stadium where you can watch, or invite Phil over to the bar that you're going to watch the game at, or whatever. Just get Phil out there, and also make sure that everybody has name tags so Phil knows who's who. And that also you have a huge intro for Phil D so that he can feel like a celebrity for a day. Okay, that's it. Just make sure that you have like everybody ready, like a when you enter like a wedding, everybody's waiting, standing on both sides, and now Phil D, and you get to walk in and give everybody high fives like red carpet style or something like that.
And one more request: get Mr. Is it Mr. Hand, Mr. Swift? What's his name?
Mr. Snap.
Mr. Snap. Get Mr. Snap to put out a statement that he didn't actually face me face to face and talk to me, and I ignored him. Okay, now that's not gonna. I don't know if he's just doing it on purpose, but that did not happen. No matter what, every week there's something new with this whole story. This is never gonna end. It will never end. So
I love it. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. Hey, last week I was really self-conscious because we spent the entire first hour talking about fucking nothing and like reffing and all that kind of shit and your minor hockey stuff. But people enjoyed it. So people enjoyed it. Thank you. For people who didn't enjoy it, that's okay. I always give you at the start in the intro, like what point in the podcast to skip to for when we actually start talking about NFTs, if that's what you want. But I'm glad that people liked it. Did you guys have any playoff games yet for your daughter's team?
So the playoffs started right at the night we recorded the podcast, which is Monday
later that night. Yeah.
The playoffs started that night, and they were to end yesterday with the championship game, if you make it there. So I'm going to keep this. I could go on for hours about this, but I will keep it very short. Okay.
Oh, no.
Here's the deal. You get 2 round robin playoff games. You're separated in 2 groups. Okay.
Yeah.
The top 2 teams in each group, after playing each other once, advance to the semifinals on Saturday. The 2 winners of the semifinals advance to Sunday. To make a very long story short, and there were games every night last week, we ended up making it into the semifinals. we were the 1 seed, and we ended up playing the 2 seed because we finished second in our group in the round robin,
right?
Which is fine. Better matchup for us.
Yeah.
We were down 2-1. That's in the second period of that semifinal game. Then we were up 3-2 late in the game. The other team tied it. The game went to a shootout immediately, best of 3, and then sudden death after if nobody can win that. And I just want to say that 2 weeks, our last practice before the playoffs, I had read the playoff rules ahead of time. So I knew that if you went to, if it was tied in the only in the semis. In the finals, there's overtime and then shootout. I knew
only semis. Okay.
Only semis that it goes straight to shootout because they don't have time to be there all night.
Yeah.
So in our very last practice, we share the ice with another team for practice. That's just how it works at that level. The other coach said, "Do you guys want to scrimmage?" And my players were all like, "Yeah." I said, "No, we have something to work on here. I need the next 10, 15 minutes to work on something." I said, "Let's do shootouts. I know you guys are going to love this. Let's do shootouts, but I'm going to tell you guys something. Every shot you're taking in the shootout, your entire team depending on you. If you miss, we're out of the playoffs. This is what I want you guys to approach us with. You guys miss this penalty shot, you let down the entire team, and we're out now."
Yeah.
So, and I'm throwing you off the ice if you miss it, basically. Yeah. Okay, you're out of here. Go back to the locker room. Bye. I didn't actually do that, but I just wanted to see who could handle that pressure.
Yeah, who could handle it. Yeah.
I needed to see this just in case we ever made it to a shootout. So I let all 15 players go. The ones who scored, I let them keep going. And I got my mental notes on what I needed from these players. So sure enough, the other team equalizes late. We go to shootout in the semifinals. Crowd is absolutely losing their minds. And it's now time to pick my shooters. So I've got my mental notes. Now, the one more key ingredient in picking the right shooters here was, does the kid want to take the shot? Most important thing to me. Forget what they did in that practice. Does the kid want to do it? So I started asking the guys I had in mind. I said, "Do you want this?" And any little hesitation of like, I don't know, that gone. You're crossed off the list for now. But the one kid, first of all, the superstar player, I knew I didn't have to ask him. He probably would have quit the team if I didn't pick him. So he's my first pick, no matter what. But there's another player who hasn't scored. He's a big-time scorer. He hasn't scored in a long time. I said, "Do you want this?" And when he said, "Absolutely, you have to put me out there," I knew it. I said, "This is the guy." All right. I found another one. I said, if the other two, whatever, are you good to go? Yes, absolutely. Put me in. So I was set. So first 2 went. It's best of 3. Our first player scored. They missed. Now I knew that this was it. If we score the next one and they miss the next one, it's
and over. The pressure's on.
It's called a simultaneous shootout. So they go at the same time.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's insane because you're like trying to look one way. You're like, okay, is our guy going to score? Is our goalie going to save it?
And your goalie can see what's happening on the other end. That's so distracting.
It is.
That's so wild. Simultaneous shootout. I've never heard of that. Cool.
So it hit me though when he's about to go that if we score and they don't, that's it. We win. It's over. And some of the players asked me, they're like, I'm like, yes. So our player goes in, buries one top corner. I look over, the other guy's still going. I'm like, wow, they're slow. Goes in. Our goalie makes a huge save. And nobody really knew what was going on. First of all, the crowd has no idea what the rules are. I'm sure of it. Okay. Because I knew because I read the rule book.
Yeah.
And even the refs, I look at them. I'm like, it's done, right? They look at each other. They're like, yeah, it's done. So I'm like, all right, our play. Then our players jump over the boards, jump on the ice. Some of them start throwing their gloves. I'm like, hold on. Wait a minute. This is semifinals, man. No glove throwing. That's like a huge no-no in hockey.
You can't celebrate like that until
you didn't win anything yet. You won a big game, but I get it, man. These kids are so excited. It's like, they're just thinking.
No. But you can't like you only like you can jump over the boards and pile on top of each other and go
which
nuts.
They did.
But there's no removing helmets.
No. They started throwing
championship. No, that's what I mean. There's no removing equipment until you have won. Like it's until like because that's the symbolism of it is that you've won and that is the final game. So now you can take off all your equipment. You know what I mean? But you don't take it off until it's done. It doesn't matter how big the
crazy, man. I'm like, what are you guys doing? There was only 2 kids actually. There was only 2 of them. I'm like, stop. We didn't ever put them back.
Were either of them in the shootout, or is just 2 random kids that didn't do anything?
They were not. Actually, one of them is our top 3 player on our team, and I did not pick him. He missed all 5 attempts in that practice. And I just, you know what? I'm sorry. That's to me was like, I would have used him 4th.
Is your goalie good? Is your goalie really good?
So for that game alone, we ended up using a goalie so here's the other deal. Our team for the season did not have a goalie. We were one of the teams at this age group where we didn't have a goalie. So we had to borrow from other teams. which actually helped me in the draft because I didn't have to waste a spot on a goalie. I was just able to use other goalies. Our go-to goalie was from the worst team in the league. He was fantastic for us. He played for an awful team on his team. But because we finished second in our group, he was playing in the consolation game at the exact same time in the semifinals. So that was more incentive for us to finish first in the group, is that we'd have him for our semifinal if we didn't finish second. But either way, we were able to find somebody else, not as strong as him. And he did allow some weak goals. But guess what? Here's the kicker. For that one practice, because we don't have a goalie, I invite all sorts of random people to our practices just so we have a goalie. This kid was the kid I had invited to that practice. And he got to practice like 60 shootout shots.
You got to practice shootouts, yeah.
And it's weird because that's the only time we used him in the playoffs. And I didn't think I was ever going to use him in the playoffs. I just said that.
Oh, man.
So it worked out. So big win. We now get to face the team that we tied on Friday night to finish second in the group, the team that won our group
every night. Yeah.
So now we get to face them on Sunday morning for all the.
And hold on, can I just interrupt you? Also, I don't know the outcome of this. For anybody wondering, like, was Phil texting me about this last night? No, I didn't know any of this. I have no updates, so I'm learning about it as you guys are.
That's right. You didn't exactly. This is the actual
nobody. I don't know anything that's going on. I live 4,000 miles away, so it's like I'm not. I would love to be there, but
so and just to give you a visual, the crowd. So here's how it works for playoffs: is typically on a regular game, it's moms and dads that come out. Okay. Yeah. Not siblings. Siblings stay at home. They don't want anything to do with a regular house league game. But when it comes to playoffs and the important games like a finals, you will see every cousin, neighbor, aunt, uncle, anyone they can call. People come out of the woodwork. They drive from all over the place. They will be there for this game. So the atmosphere was just insane. And the team we were playing in the finals is kind of our nemesis. They dream of beating us, and they couldn't do it all year. We played them 4 times. We beat them all 4 times. But on the Friday night, which was the last round robin game, we played them. We were losing 2-1 late, and we tied it up 2-2. And when we tied that game up, and they still hadn't beat us all year because of that, I said to my team before that championship game, I said, listen, you've ripped the souls out of every single team you've played so far, okay? All right.
Souls out.
On Friday night, when you guys tied that game, you ripped half their souls out because they thought they had you guys, but you guys vetoed that. So now you've got an opportunity. You've got the other half in your hands. It's time to throw it on the ground, stomp on it, and just end them. All right. So, and they listen to this stuff. I said, I don't know anything about Call of Duty, but how many people at the end of Call of Duty are still alive? When everybody goes in there, it's just one team, right? That's it. Everyone else is dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So every team's entering the arena. Everyone's going to die except one team. I told them this before the playoffs started. So we get to the championship game. The atmosphere is insane. You've just got, there's even an extra ref for this one because it's such a big game.
Always. I remember when I played, they always brought an extra ref.
The extra ref is there, so be careful.
Yeah.
It's very intense. And I said to my team, I said, listen, I'll tell you guys something. You could play sports for 20 or 30 years of your life and never play in a championship game. That's the truth. It doesn't matter where you play.
Absolutely. Yeah.
A lot of people forget winning one. You may never even play for one. So this is a very, very big moment for you guys.
Pressure,
you need to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we've put together a historical season that's almost never been done, to go 15-2 or whatever it is we went. And now it's time to finish the job. It is. This is it. We're here now. It's up to you guys. I can't do anything else. So the game starts. Very tight game, back and forth. They somehow score a cheap goal early. It's 1-0 for them.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, it's good. We've got 2 periods left. You guys have done this all year. And just to put some context here, 5 times this year in the 20 games, our team has come from behind by a goal or 2 in the 3rd period and won. Okay, not tied, won. They've been here before.
Come back, Kings.
I'm trying to keep these guys calm. So I said, all right, we're good. All you need to do is get the next one. We're good. We're outplaying them. All the chances are ours. We're not getting shots on net, though. Nothing's going on net. We're getting tons of chances. We're trying to do too much. We're trying to stick handle through all the players. Nothing's happening. So on to the 2nd period we go. They score another goal off their one and only chance in like 5 or 6 minutes. It's now 2-0. Now I'm starting to get a little frustrated, but I know as a coach, I just can't show it to anybody. So I'm still clapping my hands.
Stay steady. Yeah.
I'm celebrating the small things like good plays.
Yeah.
Keeping these guys on track. You got to keep working. 2nd period ends. We're down 2-0. Now I'm mad though, because I know we only have 3 shots on net, which we usually have 3 shots on net in a minute, let alone an entire game. We only have 3 shots on net. So now I kind of rip into them a bit. And I said, listen, we are still in this, but I'm telling you right now, you will never win an effing, and I didn't say the F word. They're still 13, 14-year-olds. But I said, you will never win a hockey game with only 3 shots on net, and you're never going to score a goal to get back in this game with only 3 or 4 shots on net. Someone here has to find a way to get pucks to the net, and someone here has to find a way to get around that net and cause havoc. Okay? That's all that needs to be done here. Start getting pucks to the net. That's all you need to do. Forget the stick handling. Forget the big slap shots, all that nonsense. Get pucks to the net. So with about 6 or 7 minutes left in the third, hope's fading and all that. Finally, somebody listens, gets a puck from the corner right to the front of the net. One of our best players buries it top corner. Now, all right, the crowd just loses it. Finally, we break through.
You're on the board.
I go to every single player on the bench. I shake them like 1,000 times. I'm like, let's go. I go, we're back in this, baby. Let's go. We're back, baby. We're back, baby. All right. Motivated. I know they feel my energy. So, all right, let's go. I take a look. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to leave these guys on. They've been on for a while. I'm going to leave them on because I see their energy after scoring that goal. Now the crowd,
they got the hot hand.
Crowd is losing it, and there's nothing like momentum in hockey. There really is.
It's tough. It's tough going off when you're hot too, or after you score a goal. Like it's a crazy feeling. You just want to stay out there and score again.
So in basketball, once you score, the other team gets possession. In football, once you score, the other team gets possession. But in hockey, it's a face-off. You can continue to get possession if you want, if you win the face-off.
Yeah, it's a face-off after every goal, right?
So it's not automatic that you have to stop the other team first. You can keep your momentum going.
Yeah.
So sure enough, that next shift, I have there's about 5 minutes left. We have the same players out there. They go and they grab another goal. All right, now it's 2-2. Now this is it. I say to my guys, their spirit is now crushed. You guys have stomped on it. Now it's time to take that dagger and bury it. Bury it into these guys. I don't want to go to overtime. I don't want to go shoot it. End these guys now. All right. So next couple shifts go, we're down to 3-4 minutes, something like that. It's getting intense. Like every chance now is huge. We have all the pressure again. I send out my next line and bang, we get a third goal. Like now the place is erupting. This is it. I'm like throwing my guys all over the place. Like we're all going crazy on the bench. But there's still a job to be done. There's still 3 minutes left.
Yeah. Game's not over.
So I told, we're a very high risk team. Our defensemen take a lot of chances. They pinch a lot, but this is how we've played all year. I do not want to tell these guys to sit back and play defense.
No, you can't.
I told them to keep everybody in front of them, but at the same time, I still want them moving forward. I still want them playing offense. I still want them pushing forward because that's how we play. One of our best defensemen with 2.5 minutes left, makes a massive mistake, loses the puck at the blue line, at their blue line. Their best player, the only guy you need to shut down on that team, takes the puck and he's off on a breakaway. We're talking a massive breakaway. And all our bench, I can hear it. They're all about to cry because this kid doesn't miss. And I say to them, Eddie's got this. Our goalie, I say, he's got it, man. Trust me, he's got this. Eddie's got this. I said it about 5 times. Goes in. Eddie makes a massive save. We have 2 guys right on the guy's tail. Everybody goes flying into the boards. The puck goes into the corner. That opportunity is gone. That's when I knew we were going to win that championship. End of the game, I called a timeout. Very controversial because only 49 seconds left. You're kind of giving the other team a break and a chance to regroup. But I wanted to keep the players I had on there for 1.5 minutes. I wanted to keep them out there. Those were our 3 best options. You don't want to switch to cold players. The mentality would be that I would be giving their best player. They only have one threat on that team. It's the same player. He's the one guy, scores all their goals and he skates through everybody. I knew I'd be giving him a break because he had been on the last 6 minutes, but I figured giving our 3 guys a break was a better move than giving, who cares? They're one guy versus our 3. We need those 3. And I wanted to get them organized. I wanted to be like, here it is. Now the strategy changes. Every puck you get, just send it down the ice. Get it out. That's it. No more playing
rocket it. Yeah, you just need to fill 49 seconds.
They never really came close. Final buzzer.
So you won.
Job done. Yes.
Whoa! Hold on. Wait. Hold on. No, wait. Where is it?
Wow. You know what we have to do with that thing one time?
Wow. Wait, I got another one.
I've got some announcements to make right now, man. I got a lot of shit to say, and I want to say it right.
That's good.
Wow. Is there a trophy? Do you guys have the trophy? Can you show us the trophy?
No, I don't. You know what? I was actually considering when I jumped into the pileup with all the players, I was actually going to film it, but I was so even my daughter's I last night, at one point last night, I just grabbed her and we celebrated together 10, 12 hours after the championship. And she's like, why didn't you do that at the game? I'm like, because honestly, it's not hitting me until now. It's just not. I'm not realizing the scope of this. Like the work that goes into all of this. I get it. It's a low level of hockey, but it's still intense. It's still competitive. And, we did everything. Like we did, the on-ice celebration is these are moments like for these kids and for us is like, again, you could go 30 years of playing sports and just never have that kind of moment. It's so special. It just is. And I know my description of the game was long, but I told a lot of people, I've told 10 people at work today in the same exact way. They're like, your description made us feel like we were there. Like that was really good. And like, we felt it. So very special moment. We'll show some videos in the next, there's a ton of videos, none that I took. But I told our guys, listen, we did the medal ceremony. The trophy was actually a brand new trophy, LG, with brand new plaques. We will be the first team.
You're the first one's on. We got to see it. You need it for next week, man. You got to bring that next week.
They are putting our full names engraved on the trophy, name by name. This is Housey. That's pretty impressive. They don't usually do that. And I told our guys, listen, when you guys go back to the room, I'm going to hold our goalie back. And I want you guys to fill up your water bottles, wait in the room. And when he comes in, I want you guys to absolutely destroy this guy when he comes in. And I told his dad, I said, listen, Pat, do you want to go in the room with our guys and wait in there and do a video of this? Because your son's about to get absolutely destroyed. Yeah. And he did. And it was just a special moment. And I told the parents, hold on, I'll let you guys come in the room. They were on the ice taking pictures and all that because we were on the ice for a while. I said, I'll let you guys come in, but let me talk to this group one last time because, at this level of hockey, it's not the same team every year. Your teams are different every year. So I said, let me talk to our guys one last time, and then we'll bring you guys in for the big party. So we've talked to them, parents came in, sang "We Are the Champions." Everybody in the room smelled like garbage. Seriously, I thought some people were going to pass out in there. So there's someone's bag in there, and I just realized this now because I never spend that much time in the room. Someone's bags. I'm telling you right now, there's a cat that took a shit and a piss in the bag, maybe multiple times, and the kid doesn't even know it. No, the worst smell you will ever smell in your life, and it smells like cat. Man. But you've been in hockey locker rooms. It's a special moment. I know they're young, 13, 14 is not old, but it's a moment they'll remember the rest of their lives. And it doesn't matter. It's true. So, and what's more satisfying for me, and I'm not bullshitting here, is that in the last 24 hours, I've received some emails from parents thanking me for everything. And 3 or 4 of them that I've received has said that their child, their son, had their best year in minor hockey. For playing the last 10 years, this was their favorite year ever, their best year. And for me, I'm not going to lie to you, for me, that is I prefer hearing that than, had we lost and I still heard that, I'd be satisfied because this is what it's all about at the end of the day. You played hockey too, LG. You remember those days. Like it's just almost nothing like it. It's such a special feeling, right? It's hard to describe it to people who are not part of it. But anyways, long story short, we won the championship. Wow. I would not have been let me ask you this. What would be worse? Okay. What would be worse? Had we lost 2 or 3-0 and never got into that game, would that be worse than what the other team's feeling now of being up 2-0 with 7 minutes left and losing 3-2? Which one's worse? What do you think is worse out of those two? If we had lost 3-0 and never ever got into that game, or being up 2-0 in the championship game and losing 3-2, which one's worse?
Wait, you mean like which one's worse for the other team?
Okay, so what are you asking me? Just in general, in a form of losing. So say which would have been a more stingful loss had our team lost 3-0, say, and never got into that game, or the green team, the other team, up 2-0 in the third period with 7 minutes left and losing 3-2 in regulation. Which one's worse? Right.
So which loss would have been worse?
Yeah. Which one stings more?
I don't know, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I think that's a good debate because it's like it's pretty awful to collapse when you have the lead like that. But it's also pretty awful to not even ever show up. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's like it does sting a lot to have a full collapse because for a while you thought you were gonna win, but it is pretty bad to like have a fantastic season and then you get to the end and you literally never show up. You know what I mean? Because at least in that, like at least they played well at some point during that game. You know what I mean? Like, and then you guys played well at the end, but it's like they still, I don't know. It's hard to say. I'd say in the immediate, obviously, like being up 2-0 and then losing 3-2 is freaking awful. So I'll go with that
think
one, but
I would lose more sleep over that one as well, just because you'd probably
because there's a lot of little things you like we could have done that, right? You could have done this. Versus just showing up and your team sucked the entire game is kind of like
they were just outplayed. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Like I would say that is a word. Like I would say that being outplayed and getting blown out in the championship game is worse for your team's like energy. That it's just like you literally nobody shows up in big games versus like the other one is worse for your team's sleep, because then you'll never forget how you, like, even that star player on the other team, that guy will never forget how he had a breakaway to win it or to tie it and couldn't score. You know what I mean? Like, that's, he'll think about that every night for months.
It is wild because the other team in-house, you're not supposed to leave the same players on all the time. You're supposed to,
you're supposed to rotate through. Yeah.
But this player, and I had noticed in the semis, and some people wanted to put a complaint in, he played, the periods are 10 minutes. He played 9 of the first 10 minutes of the first period in the game before. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So someone noticed it's like, we have to put a complaint in. I'm like, no. Mm-hmm. We'll beat them. We'll still beat them. Forget your complaints. We don't need to complain. We'll still beat these guys.
Everybody gets a chance to play in the normal season.
And the kid was
not in the final game.
The kid was gassed. I'm not gonna lie. It's the second time this happens this year. He was keeled over at the end. He just couldn't. He had nothing left.
That's exactly. They played him too much. There you go.
Right?
It's like you could have scored on that last play if they hadn't totally played him too much, right? So
that's possible. So it's a huge achievement, man. Like, honestly, it's not often that you win championships and you cherish every moment. And I told these kids, you guys have had the heart of a champion all year, and you've showed it when you've come back many times. And that goal Friday night to tie that same team, I'm telling you right now, changed everything. It put doubt in their mind, and I knew if we got one in this game at some point, we'd probably get another, and maybe another, and another, and another, and
build that confidence.
So that was huge. Wow. What a week! Like, I'm exhausted. Like, I got home after that, and I'm not joking. I was watching TV, and I started seeing like colors in my eyes. I'm like, okay, I think I need to sleep. Seriously, I was like seeing lines and stuff. I'm like, I think I'm dying. So took a big nap and came back to earth.
My only question for you, actually, while you were talking about like which scenario is worse, and this is the jump to the next topic, and I'm very proud of you, very proud of my niece as well, and everybody on your team. What's worse, being the coach for a team that was up 2-0 and loses 3-2 in a championship house league game in rural Toronto, suburban Toronto, or being up by 12 points in an Elite 8 game with 10 minutes to play, if you're Texas, and losing to Miami with like the odds. You see, there's a tweet from Jack Settleman that I saw earlier that was like, literally, like, if you like that, it was like Miami's chance to win was so low. Like, they're like the plus minus, like the money line was like plus 11.5 or something like that. Like, it was like obscene. Like, you could have put $10 down on Miami and made like $200 or something at one point, and they came back and won. Phil D, what did you think? What are your thoughts on the March Madness tournament so far?
You saw what I wrote in the Discord. I was like, we're not in our chat. Sorry, not in in the TFM Discord, but I said, what's with all these underdogs coming in the second half and just sucking? Yeah. It keeps happening where they're close at halftime and then they come out in the second half and they look like complete garbage. And Miami really pissed me off because I was high on Miami. I'm like, man, I didn't pick them far in my bracket. I wanted to, but something about what I saw in the conference tournament bothered me. But all year, I thought Miami was one of the better teams in the country. And I was like, man, these guys are really good. But I thought they were fading, so I didn't pick them. But I was expecting them to come back in that game. And then they go down by like, 12, 13, whatever the hell it was. You said 12 points. And then I started bitching in the chat. And I'm like, man, what is with these damn teams who come out in the second half? They look like they have no idea what they're doing. They just give up. And then I'm like, screw this. I changed the channel. Started watching the Leafs game. Then I came back and I'm like, what? The game's tied. Like, hold on. They actually showed some fight and they came back. I think it's been great, man. I'm not going to lie. Like, I know my bracket's completely done and I really, really sucked this year, but so did most people. And I think it's awesome when there's no dominant programs. I love it. Like, hearing that Miami, Florida, the Miami, Florida Hurricanes, the U, made it to was it their first Final Four?
I think so. Yeah.
No, it is Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic.
Oh, no. Yeah. FAU. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
FAU's in their first Final Four.
Close to those two schools.
Actually, I was there and was able to go when I was in Miami. I was able to go to both campuses or close to it. They're actually very, very close. Because we went to see the campus of the University of Miami when we were there for a hockey tournament last October, the October before. And I remember being like, okay, where's the football stadium? And then I didn't realize that it was at the Hard Rock, the place where the Dolphins play, which is nowhere near the campus. It's like 30 or 40 minutes north. And then the more north you go, you end up on the FAU campus. So they're actually very close. This is really, really impressive.
I'm just looking at it.
But really, really interesting.
Yeah,
Boca Raton, which is just north of that area. So
it's
on the same coast. It's on the same side of Florida.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, pretty close.
So I think it's great. I really do. I'm so happy the 1 seeds are gone because I think that this is how this tournament should be. It shouldn't always be the same programs. think of the implications for these programs like FAU, right? The money that's going to come in, and just the recognition for scouting and for recruitment and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Right?
Even just like, and that's what, like, that's kind of like what happened in Gonzaga, like 25 years ago or whatever. They had that one insane Cinderella run. Nobody literally had ever heard of the school, and now they're like a staple of the tournament. You know, it's like, and they forever the bridesmaid, unfortunately for them, but it's still like, you know what I mean? Like they've become like a staple of college basketball, right? So it's like you could see that happen for both FAU and like San Diego State. Like, has San Diego State been a good school?
That's Kawhi's school, man. That's Kawhi's
school.
That's
right. It is Kawhi's school.
But they weren't good with Kawhi. They weren't like dominant or anything with Kawhi. He was just dominant, but it didn't lead to anything. These are shocking. I'm not going to lie. This Final Four is shocking. One of the most shocking ever. And
you think, so here's my, so about that. Okay. I have a question about that. It's conspiracy theory level. Okay. And I'm not saying the refs are like throwing the games or anything like that. I don't mean like that. Terrible. I mean, like this is how it goes. It's like, I find that college basketball sometimes is a bit of a game of Plinko, where it's like anything can kind of happen in a single game elimination between best team, worst team, whatever. So I'm not taking away from any of the teams that won or upset in this tournament. What I'm saying though, is that in the last 10 years, some of the most probable things ever in sports have happened. Things that for years, for decades, were impossible happened. Like the Brady Super Bowl comeback, the LeBron Finals comeback, the friggin' Cubs winning the World Series, like all these Triple Crown, like all these things that were like through our entire childhood, through our parents' childhood, was like, this will never happen because of freaking how impossible it is. It's probably more that we're not thinking about right now, but there's tons. Like literally at every interval it happens. Freaking, I don't know, like people breaking world, Michael Phelps winning the most medals ever, like that, all this crazy shit. Now this, like literally the most berserk, like, and yes, freaking UConn has been amazing. Like they've literally just rampaged through everybody, totally. But there's such an improbable Final Four that to me, I look at this and I'm like, do they purposely misseed some of these? You know what I mean? Because it's still like a committee that's choosing the seeding. It's not a ranking. It's not an actual like who won the most, who scored the most. Like there's no math to it. It's literally a committee that just handpicks. Here's number one. Here's number two. Here's number three. Probably to make sure that the best schools obviously don't face each other until the end. But the one seeds have been fucking garbage in this tournament, right? Like it's so bad. Arizona freaking lost their first game against Princeton. Sure, Princeton was good, but like, come on, honestly.
No, then Princeton sucked when we thought they were.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just saying, like, do you think on purpose now that they purposely don't pick? And there's no clear favorite UConn is the clear favorite now, but I think at the start of the tournament, I don't think a lot of people were picking UConn or saying that a 4 seed was a bad seed for them, a too low, but too high, whatever. Same problem as last week. But you know what I'm saying though, is this like a little bit done on purpose where they are ranking teams a little higher than they should purposely to have upsets? Because you've got freaking Farley Dickinson winning as a 16 seed this year. Like, come on. Knowing that Purdue has lost to shitty seeds for like 3 years in a row, and then they put them first this year. Is that on purpose for headlines?
I don't know, man. Like, don't get me started on conspiracy theories in sports. I'm all over it. Like, I love when Luca the other night did the little money sign. I'm like, yes, Luca, you are right, my friend. But you're going to get your ass fined for that, because I'm like, we all know that happens. Like I watched that Tim Donaghy thing recently. I was like,
I watched.
I had always known about it. I just never knew how it played out. I didn't know what he was actually doing or who the behind the scenes people were. And again, this is only from his point of view. So we don't really know what the story is, but it was pretty wild. And I really don't doubt that things like that still happen. But I think if you look at, I think there was a record number of times that they changed the number one team in the AP polls this year in college basketball. So it looks to me just that this year was kind of an outlier year where there was no clear number one, and they really struggled to find who the best team is in the nation with the rankings, because no one could ever do anything. Like teams would be number one, then lose right away. All right, you're not number one anymore. But then they win their next 5 games. All right, they're number one again. Like that's Houston, in and out of number one all year, right? Also, injuries play a part. A lot of teams lost players. Like Tennessee lost one of their best players. That's why they look like garbage again. I mean, Tennessee, everybody was high on. Who'd they lose to? Was that FAU? Yeah. Everybody was high on Tennessee, but Tennessee looked like crap in their conference tournament and lost in the quarterfinals. But it was the body of work they put together all year that got them their seeding. But then they lost one of their best players. So they had no chance. And it's the same with Purdue. Same with who's the other team that lost a player? Somebody else lost one of their top.
Listen, no, these aren't bad reasons, and you're totally right. But these are all really good justifications. I'm just saying this is another one of those things that's happened in the last decade that you're like, this seems so impossible, and as a result, everybody's talking about it. That I just think it's kind of funny when that's
maybe it's a law of averages, man. Maybe it just
but just like the whole especially when LeBron, I think it was after LeBron came back from 3-1 against the Warriors, and then also the Brady Super Bowl against the Falcons, where it was like that was when people were like, are we living in a simulation? That was when those questions came out of is this being done on purpose? Because stuff that was never has such low mathematical chance of happening is starting to happen. Right.
Well,
so anyways, this to me is
if that's the case,
examples.
LG, hold on. If that's the case, I have one question for you. When will the Toronto Maple Leafs win the playoff series?
Hold on, we can't talk about that. No, I know what you're going to say, but we can't talk about the Biden thing yet. Hold on, we're going to get to that in a second.
I'm not going there yet. I'm not going there yet. I just want to say it has been 19 years since the Toronto Maple Leafs in the NHL have won a playoff series. Okay, this is the biggest hockey market in the entire world, and they have not won a. Forget the cup. They haven't been in the cup finals since 1967.
Listen,
but they have not won a playoff series since 2003.
Please, I haven't had to think about this pain. I don't have to think about it for another month.
It's not pain anymore
until the NHL playoffs start. Okay, and we play the Lightning again. I don't even want to talk about it. We'll talk about the Biden thing in a second. I just want to wrap up the NCAA thing. Probably the last most recent insane Final Four was actually in 2011. If you remember, it was the VCU year where they came in as a play-in and went all the way to the finals. And UConn also won that year as a 3 seed. They beat Kentucky in the semifinal, who was a 4 seed, and then beat Butler. They faced Butler in the final, who beat VCU in the semifinal. Butler was an 8 seed. So that was also a year. And that was Ohio State, I think, lost to Kentucky that year in the Elite 8. Kansas lost to VCU. I do remember this pretty well, actually, at this point. Duke lost to Arizona, who lost to UConn. And the other 1 seed was Pittsburgh, and they lost to Butler in the second round. So pretty wild year as well then. That was pretty wild. And San Diego State actually was ranked, was a 2 seed that year and lost to UConn.
Those guys were supposed to be balanced a long time ago, but it didn't happen. But here's the real question. You've known this for years because we talk a lot of sports with our dad. And he usually the way he picks his teams or the teams he's cheering for in March Madness is based basically on the name of the school or the mascot. So he's been obsessed with Gonzaga for years because he thinks it's the funniest name.
He just likes saying it. He likes
saying all of college Gonzaga. Sports.
Yeah.
So he literally supports them because of this. So I will ask you this, LG, out of the 4 teams remaining, and based on our dad's theories of picking a team with a funny either mascot name or school name, who do you think he's cheering for?
Oh, FAU for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say
super random. Florida Atlantic University just sounds like it sounds like a community college. I'm sure it isn't, but it sounds like just like a made up school. I think he was pretty stoked for Farley Dickinson because he did text us about that because it is a really hilarious name. Also, a question: will you agree? I'm assuming you agree that
100%. The owl part for me is there's no other owls in the
UConn and Miami, those are known schools, so that's not very exciting. And San Diego State also Aztecs.
He'll laugh at Aztecs. He'll laugh at that.
Is that okay? Is that allowed?
What the
nobody's
Aztecs?
asking that.
What is that?
Well, Aztec, they have their logo is kind of their main logo is the letters with a bow and arrow through it, but their mascot is and I'd love somebody to DM us and educate us about this if it's I guess kosher for it to be this way, but it is a dude wearing a giant headdress.
So isn't it derived from the Mexican Aztecs? Isn't that what that is?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
So I don't think it's inherently racist. I don't think it was the Cleveland or Washington teams or anything like that. But when I was looking up, because I've been posting one of the posts I've been putting on Twitter for First Mint has been weird mascots from teams. And then I looked up the Aztecs mascot and I was like, whoa. And it's it's actually not even a mascot costume. It's literally a dude wearing a headdress. And other kind of native garb, but I'd love to learn a little bit more about that.
So I think there's some cool history there because San Diego's in the southern part of California, right? So
totally. It used to be part of
Mexico.
It used to be part of Mexico, right? Yes. So it's I'm sure there's history there, but is it to what level is it? I guess approved or okay, and whatever that is. But I do feel like things that are more like warrior like are still like in the okay zone. Like the Chicago Blackhawks is also like, everyone's like, no problem with that, just keep rolling with it. But I'm going to stop there because it's something that, you know, I don't know if I'm qualified enough to discuss these things. But one thing I do know about is American presidents trashing the Toronto Maple Leafs, Phil.
This guy,
which you wanted to talk about.
Dude,
Phil,
let me
pull it up. Yeah, hold on.
First of all, okay, I'll let you play it first. For those who haven't heard or seen it, Joe Biden was in the Canadian House of Commons. Do they have House of Commons in the US too? What is it called there? I don't know if it's called
Congress.
In Congress. Okay.
Yeah, it's Congress.
So, and he decides to go up on the podium, and I don't know if he was egged on by all the clowns in the audience there, but he for some reason, for a minute there, he turned into like a stand-up comedian, or what he thought was a stand-up comic. And I think President Trump absolutely destroyed him for that today. But yeah, let's roll the tape.
Hold on, let me see. Here we go.
Anyways, at some point he felt the need to take a shot at the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay, here we go. This is Joe Biden last week addressing the House of Commons in Canada, which is the Canadian government, on his visit. And this is actually minutes after he like scolded the conservative side for not standing when he said that there's tons of women in cabinet both in Canada and the US. And he's like, stand up, you freaking he didn't say that, he said fucking losers, but it's something like that. Anyways, so he's clearly on like a pure rampage in the House of Commons. And then out of nowhere, while he's doing this address, he decides to take a shot at the Maple Leafs, which is clear. I think someone just told him that that's like the cool thing to do.
100%. Look how he calls
listen to it. If you're on YouTube, you can watch along as well. But here it is.
Our labor unions cross borders. So do our sports leagues. Baseball, basketball, hockey. Listen to this, hockey. I have to say, I like your teams except the Leafs.
Yeah, you got us, Joe. They all stood up for that.
Sit down. Like, seriously, sit.
There's a few that are liberals.
There's a few that are not. Look, there's a few that are not. They're like, just what a loser. This guy, man.
They beat the Flyers back in January. That's why.
What?
And if I didn't see that, I married a Philly girl. If I didn't say that, I'd be sleeping alone, fellas. I like you, but not that much.
What's he saying, man? Like, honestly, this is ridiculous.
They just wrote this super weird script for him. First of all, the Flyers are fucking garbage. It doesn't matter. There's no rivalry. It doesn't matter the Leafs.
Well, I guess he hates everybody. Everybody beats the Flyers. Yeah, like seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
But the question is, who told this guy to say that? Because first of all, nobody who is not an actual fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs, nobody calls them the Leafs. That's something only an actual fan calls them, because it's like the short word, and that's what you refer them to. Anyone outside of a fan base calls them the Maple Leafs, or, you know, nobody says the Leafs. It just doesn't happen. But I will give him kudos. I don't know how he put an entire sentence together like that, and he was able to remember what he's supposed to say. It would have actually been funnier if he completely butchered it and like referred to baseball and the Leafs or some bullshit like that. So kudos to him for actually putting that out there. But I think I forgot what Trump said today, and it wasn't directly about the Leafs, but he absolutely destroyed Biden for running like a comedy club, whatever the hell he was doing out there. Because look at him, man. He really thinks he's a stand-up comic. You have all these buffoons clapping.
Yeah. It's pretty cringy. Much. I find it kind of like belittling, honestly, when people do that. Like and honestly, like Canada, we are kind of like a living stereotype. So I will admit that, you know, Tim Hortons and even I'm sure you American folks love the way that Phil and I speak. But it's like, I don't know. It's still like, listen, we're still like your northern neighbor, and we're still like a, you know, really important trade partner. And I just find it weird. I'm sure he said a lot of other important things during his address that were actually on topic. But I just find it weird to just come in and be like the Leafs, right? They suck. I hate them. Don't you guys? Right? It's
we
just
don't have that
okay, buddy. Like that's so like, yeah. It's like, who
we're
cares,
not buddies like
man?
that.
Yeah. Well, it's just kind of strange, right? And I just hate that. I hate that kind of like political pandering of like, hey, I'm just gonna say what the cool kids are saying. It actually reminds me of this time back in the Trump campaign, the first one when Hillary was running, and she had this speech. I think I told you about this. She had some kind of speech at like some university, and this was back when Pokemon Go was hot, right? 2015. And like Pokemon Go was like the hottest rage that summer. And she was on the campaign trail. And at one point she was like, listen, we need more money for tech. And everyone was like, yeah, tech, you know, fuck yeah, tech. And she's like, we need more money for tech. We need more entrepreneurs in the space. We need more people building cool apps. I don't know who made Pokemon Go, but we need them to figure out how to make them Pokemon go to the polls. And it was so, and she was like, had that insane smile. She's like, you know, and I was like, ugh,
it is. You know, she didn't come up with that. Like,
yeah. And it's like, why do you do that? Why do you say these stupid fucking things? So anyways, Biden, fuck you. Leafs are going to lose again this year, and it's going to be terrible. And you know what? We've accepted our fate. And we're down there at the bottom. I think there was also like a poll 20 years ago of like, what are the worst sports franchises that are run? And it was like the last, and it was like all 4 major North American sports, like baseball, football, hockey, basketball. And it was like the last 2 spots out of 126 teams were the Leafs and the Knicks. And the only team worse than the Leafs were the Knicks.
The Knicks are very comparable, to be honest with you.
It's very comparable in terms of like tortured. You should be winning. You're in the mecca of the sport. Like it's ridiculous. And you have the biggest fan base and the shittiest team. So it's at least the Leafs. Like I don't know if it's good or bad, but the Leafs are good and have been good for like 6 years. And a lot of big things are expected from them. Whereas the Knicks like literally can barely, they're definitely never like a first place team or anything. Not that the Leafs have been either in the last little bit.
You'll always have the people who say this is their year and stuff, but I want to end it on.
Yeah.
I've told you this,
Phil. We haven't even started the podcast.
No, not.
You realize that we haven't even started the actual.
This is the actual. We're approaching the bookmark section where you put that bookmark and tell people, do you want to listen to that first hour and a half?
This is even longer than last week. This is even longer than last week.
But I just want to say this for those who are saying that this is the year they're finally going to win a series, they're finally going to win the cup, blah, blah, blah. We've heard that for our entire existence. But I've pulled this stat up before on either Spaces or one of our podcasts. No team has ever won the Stanley Cup with a player getting paid $10 million or more per season on their roster. Ever. It's never happened. Okay.
How long have the players been getting paid $10 million though?
For a while. In the last, there's been for, the last decade, you've had guys with huge contracts. But just for context, that's a good point too. But for context, the Toronto Maple Leafs have 3 guys getting paid $10 million or more. So if you're a fan of analytics, which our general manager here apparently is the biggest Mr. Analytics, he's clearly overlooked that biggest stat out there. And there's almost no chance. There's just no chance when you're paying that only 3 players that much money. There's no room
because McKinnon gets paid like 12.6 right now, but I think that was after they won, right?
Exactly. So the Avalanche have kind of thrown themselves under that same bus and been like, all right, well, we don't have a choice. We either let him go or we have to move on and pay him the real money, but they probably screwed themselves for a while to come. Now, obviously the salary cap is scheduled or projected to go up. So that's
because the other thing, the salary cap goes up. So it's been hard to pay players like that.
I'm just saying to have 3 if you look at the teams that have been winning the cup for the last years, teams like Boston, all their guys have taken some sort of pay cut or whatnot to build that dynasty and keep everything under 10 million. So for me, that's a huge issue, and there's no way to fix it. What do you move everybody out of town or what? Like, no, can't do that either.
They're paying Darnell Nurse $9 million a year.
Well, there's another team that's screwed. It's ridiculous. That's another disaster.
That's crazy.
But at the same time, for any sports fans out there, you're laughing at $9 million in hockey. That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's like he's like the 25th highest paid player in the league.
In
like
baseball, that's nothing.
But no, it's nothing. It's a different. No, but it's still. We're talking within context here. We can still stay within context. Like NHL is important to us. It's still a pretty big sport, right? It still has the teams are still worth a lot. It's still a pretty big attendance and viewership, right? It's not important. It's something that a lot of people pay attention to when it's playoff time. But the Leafs often tortured. It's been pretty terrible. And Phil, I feel like we are going to talk about this a lot more on the podcast sometime very soon. So I don't think we need to go into the Leafs very much. 10 games left in the season or whatever it is. We'll talk about it when it's.
I will not be skipping a podcast or live show to watch any games this year. If we're doing shows during the games, I'll be doing the show instead. I did that last year. Remember that? I was checking in with my jersey.
Wasted at one point.
It just didn't end well.
Freaking blasted during one of those shows. Was that last year or the year before? I can't keep track because every fucking year.
It was last year.
Okay. That's great. This has been a good hour and 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
Although we did talk about Jurassic Park for the first 30 minutes. So that's pretty good. So I will say that only from the 30 to the hour and 15 mark has it been like your story about championship, which congratulations again, NCAA, Joe Biden, all that kind of stuff. Let's actually talk about NFTs. And actually the first thing I want to talk about is the First Mint and our relationship with this market and with this community. So I'm gonna share with you a little kind of personal anecdote because this past Saturday, right, we put out our newsletter, which I write the newsletters, and the main theme that I kind of ran with, and the Saturday newsletter recaps like, hey, here's what's going on. There's a drop here. This person said this. There's been an announcement, whatever. Just kind of recaps what's going on that week, and then has a bunch of memes and highlights and stuff. I really love putting it together. But I also lead with like a main story of like, hey, here's how I'm feeling right now. Here's the main thing that just happened. You got to check it out. And this week, or this past Saturday, I mainly went at it talking about too much supply, right? And this is a personal feeling that it's like, listen, to recap, like it's the bear market right now. Volume across all NFTs is down. Users across all NFTs is down, and that's no more apparent than in the sports world. And all these companies, not just Dapper, but like this is Sorare, I'm assuming, but maybe they haven't made staff cuts. But all these companies, Candy, everybody, is kind of changing the way they do things, reducing staff, reducing events, cutting budgets. Even Sorare, changing the free competitions, not as good as it was. They have no ETH rewards on NBA, MLB, like that kind of stuff. There's a lot of things that it's like, hey, it's the experience is kind of taking a bit of a step back, I would say. And yet all these companies are still charging us top dollar for the experience, right? For either collecting or fantasy or whatever it is. And I kind of took issue to that. And I wanted to kind of shine the light there and just be like, listen, like Candy's going to pull in this much money next week. Sorare pulled in this much money this week. Dapper, third straight week of Top Shot drops where they're making a ton of money each time. UFC is dropping FC Pride freaking packs from literally a league that hasn't existed in 16 years of MMA. You know what I mean? And it's like, listen, I know they're businesses and they got to make money, but to me, it's like, I just think that's really bad form for them to keep like essentially taking money out of the ecosystem. And I asked this question this morning on Twitter from my personal account. I asked people, how much money are you spending? And with the money that you're spending on these products, is it recycled money from selling other NFTs? From like, you went for Top Shots drop last week. Did you sell other stuff to go for that drop, or did you put in new money? And 90% of the answers are, I'm just recycling money. So that's all these companies, they can see that. They can see that, so-and-so sells $200 worth of moments to go buy a pack. They can see that shit. They can see when people put new money in. So my problem, Phil, is that these businesses can see that we are just recycling the same money, and they are still selling tons of product, essentially extracting that liquidity from the market. They're not giving people a good reason to open their wallets. Wallets are tight. A horrible recession is either here or it's coming. Inflation might hyperinflate. It's like one of the most economic uncertain times ever, right? And these are still fun products, but my problem is simply that it's like, there's very little new money, if any at all, coming into the market right now. And you are still by the millions every month, if not every week, taking some of that out. And I don't like that. And I don't know what the solution is. They got to find other revenue streams, especially in the bear market. But I just hate that it comes at the expense of our very small community. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that you want to share. But my bigger self-conscious thing, and this is like sometimes when I write those things, Phil, like I lose sleep. Like I literally fucking can't sleep sometimes. Like I wake up at like 5 a.m. be like, did that email go out? And I'm self-conscious about being too negative. But at the same time, I struggle with, should I be honest about how I feel? Mm-hmm. Should I try and look at things as more glass half full? Is it our job to just be happy people and pump the whole industry all the time? And is it bad form for us to like literally do these shows and do these newsletters and 99% of the time just take a dump on the products and the teams that run them? I'm not sure how I feel right now, but it's kind of like a bit of a crisis for me to kind of navigate that.
No, because if you kind of tell people what they want to hear, if you go in that direction of just if you're not honest with people and about how you really feel, then you'll be accused of everything you've always been accused of, and that's that you work for these companies and you're paid to say nice things and all that. So why would you do that? We're at a point here where things are not, you're right, they're not going well for a lot of these projects, and someone in your position and someone in the position of the First Mint, for me, is still in an influential, position. So I, for one, when you go on these rants and you go crazy, sometimes I'm just like, okay, I don't know if I would do that. Like I don't care. I probably would. But when LG does it, it comes off a little bit different, only because people, including myself, since we started in this space, we look up to you. We look up to the First Mint. We kind of take everything you say with value, to the point where if you were just saying the same things over and over again that you've been saying since the beginning, it wouldn't come off as genuine as much as these rants and stuff like that, right? And it's not like you're just coming up with this because your bags are taking a dip. You're coming up with this because this is actually what's happening. And you're one of the people out there able to identify maybe where some of the issues are, right? Just like you said, where they continue to recycle the same money, right? Like you're kind of screwing each project over. It's like whatever's hot at the time will now be losing everything once something else gets hot, because people will be selling everything and going to buy the other thing within the Dapper wallet, say, right? So I think to me, I think you have to keep it real. And I think people appreciate that a lot more. Like, look at the history that you've had with AG and on social media. But then recently he's come out a lot of times, LG, and said, you know, I respect LG because, you know, even when he told me to, you know what, like, honestly, he keeps it real. Like, you know, maybe I do need to be put my seriously though, but people appreciate that no matter what. Some don't want to hear it because they feel that someone of your position will take the project down if you say things like that. And if you continue to bash, then it'll make things worse. But for me, you have to always keep it honest, man. Like if this is what you're saying, people are listening, and hopefully the right people are listening. You know, because the community has listened to you since day one. They have, from the very first podcast. I remember, like, religiously, even though you're my brother, and you could just tell me this if I texted you, I would turn on the podcast and take out like a notebook, and like while at work, I would like stop everything I'm doing. I'm like, I gotta hear everything he's gonna say and kind of follow that, right? So I mean, I get feeling self-conscious about it. It's a tough position to be in, but for me, again, keeping things genuine and letting people know how you feel, and especially that you feel this way now is kind of alarming. It should be alarming to people that, you know, hey, listen, you know, these people that have kind of kept us in the right direction this entire time. Yeah, this is how they feel. Who's listening right now? Somebody should be listening. Right?
I appreciate that, and clearly, I think I was kind of looking for, you know, some kind of reassurance. I think my general thing though is to reflect on it is that it does two things. One, does the bad state of things blind me from seeing things that are good, right? Like, is this Pride FC thing from UFC, is this a good thing? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the drops this week in a minute, because I do want to have a separate section to talk about what's coming up this week, which we're going to put in the newsletter as well, kind of like a listing of drops. So we'll talk about what we're buying this week in a minute. But does it blind me to good things that are being done, or even like Top Shot releasing new features like leaderboards, all that kind of stuff? Like some of those are good, and I do want to give people their flowers where they're due. But I also, you know, I'm trying to take the bigger view here of like, hey, things aren't growing, and that's the main problem. And, you know, all these things will be for naught until the product grows. So I want to do that, but also like I don't know. I'm a big believer of like, hey man, if you hate it so much, why are you bothering? Right. So it's like, as things get dark, I'm like, well, what's the role to play here? Like, if I have so many bad things to say, should I keep saying them? Or to find, you know, just try and spin a few more positives here and there. Right. So it's just kind of like a weird thing where it's like, hey, we're like the sports Web3 community podcast, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, you turn it on and it's like, hey, all these projects fucking suck. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like a weird vibe. I wish we were still in days where, well, I would love for people to still take notes from the podcast. But unfortunately, it's like very few of these projects are that exciting. Like there's like zero speculation to do in any of these projects. And I think, unfortunately, for these projects, like the beating heart of NFTs and of the market and of liquidity is speculation. And I wish we had more to speculate on, but it just feels like such an avalanche of supply. And you're like, there's no sports NFT you could have bought a year ago that would be up, right? Everything would be down. And I think that's, I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying though? It's just like, okay, so what are we doing here if we're just going to talk about the negatives, and this thing is in the dumps, right? So I'm trying to wrestle with that. I mean, I'd love to hear community, like what you guys think, because, you know, as much as some of you I know are really dedicated to some of the products that you play, especially Top Shot, you know, really dedicated people. And I respect that. You know, I think it's important to acknowledge like the broader conditions. And I know that everybody secretly has the hope that these projects will pop off again. I think that's, you know, one of the reasons we're still here is that these things will be good in the future, whether they evolve the product or people come back to it some miraculous way, or they finally turn on the marketing, whatever the fuck that means. So, I mean, I will say Top Shot and All Day are going to Mint Collective this weekend, which is the type of event I think they should have always been going to, which is like literally like the biggest card show, and All Day is sponsoring it. So I think that that's a step in the right direction. So that is something to be excited about. I don't think they have like tangible results from that. I don't think they come out of that and be like, hey, we had 3,000 signups and every single signup has bought like $200 worth of stuff. Like, I don't think it works that way. But I do think that that visibility is a step in the right direction. Yeah, just kind of having that vibe of like, am I to feel good about what I'm doing or not? I think it's
for me, outside of straight up collecting, which is the approach I have with Top Shot and with Candy and stuff like that, the sports NFTs, unless you're coming at me with real life utility at this point, I have no interest. I'm a huge sports fan. Like, look at the AFL. I love the Aussie.
You are the biggest sports fan,
right?
You know of the most obscure, like of like Formula 3 drivers and shit like that. Like, you know,
I do watch
obscure.
That. I watch all those.
I'm not kidding.
Them.
Like you are, and you bet on sports as well. Like, you are the prime fucking demographic for this kind of stuff.
That's right.
You know what I mean? But the fact that it's like amongst all these products that are all supposed to be good, and you are shut out of Rainmakers. I will say that you're in a region that doesn't allow it, which is insane. So let's ignore Rainmakers for a second, which would be kind of right up your alley. But it's like the fact that your main activities, Phil, and correct me if I'm wrong, is to occasionally just go on the Top Shot marketplace and buy dollar Raptors moments. Is like, come on, Phil's got more money to spend than that.
Yeah, but that's actually what I do.
He's got nothing exciting to spend it on. Right?
That's right. And I do occasionally kind of splurge and buy some of the more expensive stuff, which I've done recently. But for me, it's more like, okay, so you look at a sports fan like me, and something like the Aussie Rules football, the AFL comes out with moments, and I have zero interest in them. I'm a huge fan of that league. I've been watching it for 5 or 6 years, religiously. Sometimes middle of the night, I'll watch the games, and I have no interest in that. And now there's this rumor of the F1 NFTs or whatever it is. Okay. Being a fan for the last 20 plus years, there's nothing you could really tell me right now that would make me want to just line up to collect these things. For me, I think where Sorare really has it right, whether they're screwing things up or not with what they're doing, is that it's not really about collecting, even though some use it for collecting, but they have utility and you can do something with them. So, but that's a whole different story though. That's not collecting. That's playing a game, right? Like Rainmakers, all that. That's the same thing. But for me, that would be the interest. Like, if you told me that if I finish in the top 25 of collecting AFL moments or playing every week by putting players in slots, and they collect points based on what they do in the games, and in the top 25, I would get a trip to a game in Australia at the end of the year or whatever, I'd be like, all right, cool. This is really cool. Now I'm going to play it, and I'm actually going to follow the sport even more because I have that opportunity, right? Yep. That's why I do enjoy Sorare, but I haven't chosen to spend the money on Sorare to compete for these things. That's my choice. I feel like I'm too far behind.
Well, that's not what you're winning either. You know what I mean? Like, even that's a good example. Is that like Sorare? Yeah, there's a free product, and the top 200 every week can win a card, and that card is only worth something if you're in the top 3, and maybe it'll be like a Tatum common that's worth like $150, maybe. They have no ETH rewards, but also like that's a great point. It's like there's no season-long contest on Sorare, and there absolutely should be. That's only for commons, and it's like, listen, top 25, you get to go on a trip to go do fucking whatever.
Absolutely,
that's like for people like, because I think there's a huge contingent of people that are really good fantasy players but are not millionaires. You know what I mean? Not everybody is an Osimo, right? That just has millions and millions of freaking capital by 500 cool cats, Lucas, and all that kind of shit whenever they want. Like, there's a lot of guys who are just like normal family dads like you that are like, listen, I just got a normal job. I don't want to spend too much money betting on this stuff, but I'm fucking good at it. And how can I do that? And that ties into fandom, because you watch a lot of sports. A lot of people watch a lot of sports, and they want to put that knowledge to work. But the rewards right now in NFTs for them to do that are so few and far between. Like, I will say I do like Top Shot with the predictive challenges that they're doing, like who's going to be highest scorer tonight. That's fun. But again, that's even the Top Shot maxis are like, they don't want gamification, right? Like, Top Shot's not supposed to be that product, right? Like, NBL will tell you that it's like, that's just trying to add an element of fantasy to collectible products. So that, so what you're looking for should be on Sorare. But then, I
find Top Shot different for the simple reason that they do have this whole captains program and the whole side thing. That's for me, I'm happy being in Jurassic Pack and having those opportunities for these experiences. I don't need to buy moments to do that. I can just be part of that and get a fair shot at these opportunities. That's all I ever wanted. But for me as a sports fan, because I don't get to go to that many sporting events, things like that, or something where I can play with my NFTs and get rewarded at the end and whatever, is actually the biggest thing for me at this point. This is where we're at right now. Like I said, I don't watch NASCAR. Might be one of the only sports I don't watch in the world. I do know every single driver, and I know the standings. I know what goes on. I just don't sit there and watch it. But if you told me that I could buy, but that's exactly, you know what Candy did? You could buy them, and then you were rewarded with like a trophy if they finished, like a trophy NFT, not a real trophy, a trophy NFT, which I have no interest in. Like if you told me that I picked the top 3 drivers with my and that would get me a trip to Daytona, or that would get me a pass to Daytona if I could get there, something like that, and I could sell it to people who are there if I don't need to use it, I'd be all over it. I'm at that stage where I need utility. I know it sounds so cliche, and people have said that since day one with NFTs, but sports NFTs at this point, if you don't have utility of some kind, forget Top Shot. Top Shot for me is in a league of their own. Okay, they're the pioneers of this whole thing. They've got their own kind of setup, which I enjoy. I don't enjoy anybody else's. Someone said NHL too. Someone responded to that today in that poll you put out.
Yeah.
What would get the real Phil D to get? No, absolutely not. I don't care. You're not going to just put out a thing called NHL whatever and be like, all right, you're paying $29 for a pack. I'm not lining up for that. Nor will I probably ever collect the Leafs players.
No, yeah. And that's actually a really good point, is that, we said this a few times, is that it's like, I think the Top Shot model is dead. And I don't mean that Top Shot is dead. I think the Top Shot model is dead. And I think that that's what, like, why I went on that rant in the newsletter, that I'm like, you're just, not only are you extracting like a couple $1 million from all of us this week, liquidity that doesn't exist, like there's not going to replenish next week. There's not all these 5,000 people in the ecosystem. We're not all going to spend from our credit cards this week $1 million back in. Not only are you doing that, but you're not evolving what the product is. Like the product is the same, right? Like we're copying the same thing. Like Candy put out their roadmap of like, monthly drops, historical drops, plays of the week, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, that's a lot. Like where do you think the money is going to come from to buy that stuff? Especially that you are following the exact same format that we've been doing for over 3 years now of like pack drop. It's the players that are good. Come and get them, and it's like, oh, but you might buy a pack. And some of the players are going to be shitty that don't matter. Like, that's it. Like, there's no other. Candy is trying to do some kind of different, like, monthly challenges. So maybe that'll be interesting, Phil. Like, maybe you should keep an eye on that. Maybe it will have a fantasy element of some kind. Because I will say, Candy did say that it'll be cumulative through the year. But again, if the main requirement for that is how much you can buy, how big your wallet is, then the people like the Phil D's of the world, who are the most hyper engaged sports fans possible, your prime demographic, are never going to fucking play. Right. Like, and that's what's happened with a lot of the stuff. Even Top Shot is like, well, it's pay to play now. Right. Like, oh, you want to be on the freaking Paolo Banchero freaking leaderboard for rookie of the year? Go get yourself $10,000. Like, that's the only way to do it. There was no other way to buy. There was no point where Paolo's were $2 and you should have stacked them or anything like that. No. It's always been minimum $100 for each of his moments. And now he has a rare moment. So it's like, yeah, it's good for people who are Paolo believers. Maybe you bought one for $100 and now you've doubled it. That's nice. There is a small speculative part. I will say, like I was saying earlier, we don't have speculative. There's a little bit, but in no way can a normal average person have any chance at any kind of Paolo reward just from their sports knowledge or their sports fandom. They don't. It's not possible. You have to pay. And that's what's going to be like on Candy and all the other collectible products. And that's probably, like, honestly, if this NHL thing ever comes out a month till the playoffs, still no news about what the NHL is doing. With Sweet, the popsicle company. But if that ever comes out, like you're right. It's like, that would be the most disappointing thing in the world is if after all this time, they have all this, they're able to study the market. They can listen to First Minute and have us fucking rant about this. And every other streamer, Mike Z, everybody just talk about how it's the same old boring shit. If they just come out with like, hey, we're going to do drops, $29 a pack, 3 NFTs per pack, it'll be like, fuck no, like, God, please do something different. Like, somebody has to push the envelope here, because I think that model's dead in terms of how you roll out your product.
And I totally agree. But why are we talking about this? Why are these companies not? No, but seriously, why are they not gathering hardcore sports fans that are potential collectors and all that, and speaking to them the way we're speaking and saying straight up, it's a form of market research. What would it be that would get you to, and getting? I mean, how many creative minds are there out there? How many geniuses are out there that have kind of This is where we're not evolving. Like you said, we are not evolving out of,
you're
right, the Top Shot model and all that. They're all the same, these sports platforms. There is nothing different. It's the same crap. I'm not going to lie. When Candy said, hey, you go to that Jays game, you're getting this NFT. I was like, oh, yo, that's really cool. Let me see if I can go tonight. Like, I'd love to do that. For me, that's another side of the experience where I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to that game tonight. If I get an NFT out of it, whether, it was just a little ticket thing, but, it's a start for something like that.
I agree. But the thing is that, you're saying you need utility. I agree. But it's like, if the utility can't just be forever, like, hey, you get to go to games.
True. Absolutely.
Right? Like, I think that's like, okay, well, then just go build like a cool membership club or something like that. You could, if you wanted to create NFTs where the main utility is you get to go to games and sometimes meet players and hang out with other like enthusiasts, I think you could design a system that does exactly that. Like, I think you go, what you do is you'd go to one of the Dapper hackathons, like they just had a couple weeks ago, and they announced the winners today. You'd go to one of those and be like, hey, like, your deal with Ticketmaster, we're going to go, create the program for that. I think that's what you do. You go create a company that is specifically that, right? I think that is its own thing. These products, like both Sorare as Fantasy, DraftKings, and the Dappers and the Candies, it's like those need to work as a product when there is no other incentive. You know what I mean? It can't just be that you collect and then there's prizes for collecting. That's not collecting. Collecting is you fucking collect because you fucking love it and you want to have it and you want to stare at it and you want to show it off to your friends. Like that's what true collecting is. And maybe it's an investment because maybe you think that in the future it'll be worth something. But people collect things that are completely illiquid, that are intangible, right? So I think it's like, yes, I agree with you. Like, short term, do some good marketing, make some of the fans happy with tickets and like little fantasy contests and stuff, but it has to be a standalone product if it's going to work. And right now, this model of, hey, there's these collectible cards, we're going to release them every year, they're NFTs. Does that work beyond a couple thousand people? No, right? So NHL, yeah, a lot of people are probably thinking like, why used to keep talking about NHL? It's small potatoes. Like, NHL still has tons of fucking fans. You know what I mean? Like, NHL still has like annual attendance, like 15 million or something like that. Like, it's still enormous, right? NHL still sells out arenas all across North America every single night, right? This is not a small sport. And so something like that, it's like, that still has a chance. That still has a lot of hardcore fans of people that really want to participate in that. Even on the fantasy collectible level. Hockey cards, one of the most classic collectibles you can have outside of baseball cards, right? All the way back there. But if the NHL was to launch them like some super basic, like, hey, it's exactly like Top Shot, here's a set, here's a new pack, blah blah blah, like, that'd be so disappointing. Right?
I don't think it'll ever happen, but it's just, I don't know what the solution is. This is it. We're sitting here asking these questions. We don't know what it is. There needs to be a larger scale kind of, maybe not a study, but there needs to be some sort of innovation. And I guess that's what's going to come next, is whoever can find the next gear in this whole thing, or else we're just going to be stuck in neutral the whole time, which is what we're at right now. We really are. I don't care what you tell me comes out next. I have no interest unless you blow me away. And I don't even know what that means, but there's not much you could tell me right now that I would care about. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've already lost interest, even with MLB Sorare. I've already lost interest. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, it's getting repetitive, and it's not keeping me engaged, and it's not getting me to want to watch these sports or collect anything from these sports any more than I do. It's just not right. So it's too bad. I don't know. I've been asking this for a long time. I really don't know what it's going to take, and you're losing people by the day. You still are. People are just like, well, all right. This. So, and this is what I mean. This is why I started the whole conversation, where it's like, okay, well, we know all these things. We talk about them every week on the podcast, talk about them every week in the newsletter, on Twitter. So it's just like, okay, well, we know all this, and what's the solution? Like, am I part of the problem? Am I part of the solution? Should should we shut our First Mint and start a separate company that mainly tries to solve these problems? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Is like, how long can you just stand there and being like, just sit there? I didn't know you were thinking that. Whoa!
I didn't.
Whoa! What's going on here?
I'm here to announce.
LG's getting deep into his thoughts. Yeah, shutting it down to start a company
here. Yeah, we're shutting it down. There's a new business coming. It's called Do Set Labs.
DMZ.
And we have signed Phil's hockey team, Phil's daughter's hockey team, as the first team we're making collectibles of. Listen, all the parents and stuff, all the parents, grandparents, they buy that up. They totally buy NFTs.
That'd be about it. Yeah,
that'd be hilarious, right? So, no, what I'm saying is that's the part where it's like, I'm personally like, it's like, okay, is this a tiring act where it's like, we're shouting from the rooftops being like, listen, the way you're doing things, it's outdated. You need to evolve. You need to stop selling stuff. You need to do this, this, and that. Some of them listen to the show. And it's like, okay, well, is that my routine now? Is that just my same stand-up comedy routine every week of just being like, listen, the platforms are shit. They're stealing money from us. Fuck them. Anyways, let's talk about Phil's minor hockey stuff. Like, is that what we do every week on the show? Or are we going to be part of the solution? So I don't know. Deep thoughts with LG here. But I think that's
somebody's got to do it, man. I'm telling you, nobody's doing it. What they're doing is just rolling out these new projects. They're not thinking along those lines. I've never been approached with someone like, hey, we're in your city this summer. We'll give you $200 to come for 2 hours and talk to us and describe, just to talk to us. Nobody has done that. You could easily,
you know what, Phil? Right? That's the business idea. And mom, I know you're listening.
Oh, she'll love this. We're getting a proposal tomorrow from her.
Yeah, 100%. We're getting a PowerPoint 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. So that's the idea, Phil. Is that since mom ran a market research company, or mom was the president of like a pretty big market research company in Canada for a long time. Now everybody knows. No, I don't know. When she came on the podcast, we talked about it, so it's not a surprise. Episode 1, number 100 is with mom. If anybody wants to listen to it. But no, it was market research, and you're literally just describing like what a like NFT market research company would do is be like, okay, the Dappers of the world give you like $100K contract for you to go to a few different cities, do focus groups with sports people to ask them where their fandom is at and what they would want or not want to buy in terms of digital tickets. Do they know what NFTs are? Do they how much money do they spend on ball caps and jerseys and other collectibles every year? You know what I mean? So that's there you go. That's a business idea.
Well, a while back I got an email from DraftKings like a couple of years ago because I played DFS. It's not allowed here in Ontario anymore, but they were like, would you be interested? This is where I got this idea. Yeah, we're coming to your city. Would you be interested if for $200 to come for an evening, talk to us about everything? Because they're constantly innovating and keeping one step ahead so that things don't get kind of repetitive and tiring and the same thing over and over again. But I feel that in Web3 and the NFTs, they're not doing that. I feel like no one cares about that stuff. You don't ever hear about surveys where the only place you can voice your opinions and your thoughts are in Discords, and you get massacred for it most of the time, or people pile on with you and agree. But what comes out of that? Nothing comes out of that, because the focus seems to continue on just being on making straight up cash and finding ways to do that instead of long sustainable projects, right? Which is what these other companies outside of Web3 do, like DraftKings with and even card collectibles, right? They know how to keep a model for years and years and years. And they don't just think, of the next pack drop or whatnot, and how they're going to make big money there, and then we'll figure it out later what we're going to do after that, right? So it's just, now we're almost 3 years in, coming up this January. We're still far, 2.5 years.
It's still far, two and a half. Yeah, I've been in for almost 3 years. I've been in for almost 3 years for me, because this became a topic of interest when the pandemic started. I had nothing to do, so it's like this. I'm coming up on 3 years and being interested in crypto and finding NFTs and fully believing that NFTs and Top Shot at the time, like that was the future for brands and for consumers. So that's we're coming up on 3 years on that.
Where are these people doing this? This is what I'm saying. Like, we've never been approached as a massive sports fan in the space in an obvious fashion. We've never been approached for this, and it feels like we just keep going in circles here, right? I am not wowed by anything anymore. I'm just not.
No,
and I don't know if that, like I said, but the problem is
the novelty is worn off too. That's the thing. The novelty is worn off. When we were first doing this, it was like, I can't believe. I was thinking back to like some of the early days, and we were saying about taking notes. It's like you took notes because I was saying things like, "Hey, here's what the old sets of Top Shot are," and also I was explaining what NFTs were, and that was really valuable for people. Like it was such a new thing. That newness is gone, right? So it's like, are we only and is the solution that we only ever buy things that are new and fun and exciting? Right. And maybe that is what it is. But anyways, all I'm saying is I think to really, really zoom out, my current thinking right now is, do I want to be part of the problem or the solution? That's it. And when I write those types of newsletters, I'm like, I know that people think the same way. And I know people write feedback, and they're like, LG, thanks for saying that. Somebody needs to say it, and I'm glad you're saying it and not just pumping them all the time blindly, which is good. And I feel good about that, because I feel, connected to the community and feel sure like I'm keeping it real, and I'm fulfilled because I feel like I'm saying what I think, which is good. I don't want to say fake things. But at the same time, it's like, well, I love this area of the industry. I love what we do. I love sports. So as time goes on, how can I be part of the solution? And if just screaming from the rooftops on my platform, on the podcast, is where it's at, okay, I can do that. But is there more I can do? And yeah, you're right, Phil. Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we should approach these companies and literally be like, hey, like, let us run some focus groups for you, just here in our community, both with current collectors and with people that literally don't know what you're talking about. Right?
You
Like
also, there's also confidence that comes out of that from consumers, right? In terms of, you feel like you're part of the solution. You feel like maybe you contributed to what might be coming next. Some people also don't have a voice. Like I said, using Discord to voice yourself is just not it. It's not. I mean, people will either pile on with you and piss the people in charge off.
No,
right?
Discord's for the
or
community,
it's just
man.
it gets dismissed by people. People are like, stop crying, blah blah blah. It turns into a mess. You need a safe environment for people to. There's a lot of creative minds out there, and I think no better place to find out what the future could hold than from the actual consumers themselves, right? Or the collectors or whatever.
And that's a good point. It's like even something like that to be curious about before we fully write off these products as being like old and ancient and something that normal people ever buy is like, when is the last time someone like a Roham or whoever else now works at Dapper, because as we know, we'll talk about that in a second, but their chief business officer that they'd hired from Facebook no longer works there. He's back at Facebook, just announced today, under the radar, but it's on Variety. But it's like, when's the last time those people, sure, they speak to collectors all the time and investors and all that kind of shit, but when's the last time they gathered up a group of like 50 total rando freaking NBA homer fans, like guys that are super basic, but like they're the prime demographic. Like they just watch the games and they go to 2 games a year, take their kids, and they're just your average freaking NBA fan who spends $500 a year on all NBA related products, right? Like that person, which is the millions of fans that Roham always spoke about whenever we threw around that number that the NBA has 400 million fans worldwide. That's who he's talking about. When's the last time they actually sat down with a group of 50 of them and were like, what makes you open your wallet for NBA products? Right? Like what makes you buy one of those, pennants you used to put in your room as a kid, or a bobblehead or a hat, or, some other kind of thing that you want to take home and be happy to stare at as a collectible? What makes you, when did you ever collect cards, and what made you stop? What made you start? Do they go to things like Mint Collective this weekend? Same thing. Do a focus group. Be like, okay, like how long have you guys been buying cards? What makes you line up at Walmart at 5 a.m. waiting for the freaking Topps truck to show up so you can be first in line to buy all the Topps cards? What makes you do that? Right? Other than making fuck tons of money.
I'm gonna have to cut LG off here. He's saying way too much. He's giving full business model away here. This should be a paid portion of the podcast, or someone's listening. They don't just get this kind of information free. Given your background, our background, this should not be talked about right now. But not just randoms, LG. I just want to say, why does my fantasy football group of guys that I've been friends with for 10 plus years, we go all over the States once a year on our draft trip, why does this group have zero interest in NFTs or something like NFL all day? I sent them all the link for that free Patrick Mahomes, and they were all like, shove it. Okay. All of them former card collectors, like we were as kids, all of them the biggest NFL fans on the planet, all of them, all the way into fantasy and all that. And it was a simple sign up and get this, and they had zero interest in doing it. Another one of my good buddies, a beat writer for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I've been trying to get him into NBA Top Shot forever.
Cool.
He is the biggest fan. Same thing. All the way into card collecting back in the day. Massive sports fan. He's now an OKC beat writer. Zero interest. People were even sending him moments. He has no interest, man. None. Right? Yeah. Those are the types of people too. Not just regular Joes, but people of all different kind of backgrounds here. And to see, and it's not just to see what's not working right now that I would want to know. I just want to know what's next. You said it already. Season 1 or series 1, whatever you called it, season 1 is over. Season finale happened already.
The season finale, when we were in NFT NYC, that's what I kept saying. I was like, this is the season finale of NFT's season 1. We don't know if it's going to be renewed for season 2.
That's right. And now, and if there's going to be a season 2, what will that need to look like? Because it can't come back the exact same. We already know this.
And that's across the board. Right? It's not just the sports thing, right? It's like, listen, it has to be way more than that. And some of the, bigger companies are just taking those steps, like the apes. Like I played their other side demo this past weekend. It's super fun, but like clearly, like that's not just cool ape photos anymore, right? Like they're clearly trying to do something else. So Doodle's saying they're not an NFT project, fuck them, but you know what I'm saying. No, and that's a good point too. And maybe like, to think about it, you think about like the Reddit example, Phil, and this is just give me an idea now. So I'm going to give out more free, expensive ideas, but is like you think about the Reddit example. Reddit just met people with NFTs where they were. It was like, listen, you already spend hours, for the average Redditor, it's like you spend hours here every day, every week. You do all this stuff. You participate in all these communities that you're very passionate about. And guess what? You get some NFTs for free, and they're fun. And there's some of them have value, some of them don't. You can buy a few if you want, but otherwise you get some for free. And every month they do some new free ones. They just did some the other day. I forgot what it was, but I claimed one. But they did some for Super Bowl, right? They literally, like, you could argue that Reddit gave out more Super Bowl NFTs. They were loosely affiliated. They didn't say NFL, but they were like NFL themed. You could argue that Reddit gave out more NFL NFTs than Rainmakers or All Day have combined ever. And they did that in 1 week. You could probably argue that somewhere if you went and dug up the numbers, because Reddit has created 8 million ETH wallets through their system, because Reddit has 52 million monthly users. So they met people there. Wow. So maybe the future of something like a Top Shot is less so like, hey, let's make Top Shot the main place for NBA fans, but it's integrating a Top Shot into where NBA fans spend their time digitally. Where do NBA fans spend their time online? Like NBA.com, like League Pass, ESPN, Athletic, like all the media sources, wherever else, whatever Roto Grinders or wherever fantasy people spend their time. Communities, subreddits, all that kind of stuff. Maybe the future for that is to start giving people moments for what they currently do in their NBA fandom, which is spend time online talking to each other and consuming media. Maybe that makes more sense rather than trying to make Top Shot the destination. Maybe Top Shot is the layer of fandom that goes to all the other places of fandom. You know what I mean? Like, that's Reddit didn't say like, hey, we're Reddit, we're starting a new NFT company. Come get these Reddit NFTs that are completely fucking separated from Reddit. But that's, that sounds silly, but that's kind of what the NBA did. The NBA is like, hey, we're making NFTs. They're not related to the NBA.com. Do not come to NBA.com, which is where you spend tons of time. Don't come here. Go to a completely fucking separate company. We're not even part of it. When Adam Silver gets interviewed by KG calls it Pop Shots, like so disconnected from what it actually is. Whereas like the CEO of Reddit literally last week at Paris Blockchain Week is like, we're going to build an NFT marketplace. Like he's so closely aligned. So maybe that's where the Top Shots make more sense in the future, is less so as Top Shot as the main website of destination, but more so building into where NBA fans currently are, which is not Top Shot, which is not NFTs.
That's right.
It's wherever they are right now. It's the broadcaster. I don't know where NBA fans are. But NFL fans, like you're saying, it's like, yeah, like you consume your NFL around fantasy season when it's time to do your draft for the year through September, wherever people spend hundreds, thousands of dollars getting freaking special newsletters that give you all the alpha, which players to grab that week, what's your strategy, all this different shit. People spend so much money doing that. So if you can meet them there with NFTs in a totally frictionless way, maybe that works way better for adoption than trying to get them to do something they've never fucking done, which is show up to a website, input their credit card, and get videos of plays they've seen. Like, that makes no sense.
we are getting the biggest business model from our mom tomorrow. I'm sorry. I already know it's coming, man. Nobody is better on this planet than her at coming up with these things. And I know listening to this, her mind's going to be spinning. Her mind's going to be working. She's going to have a million ideas. She's come up with some of the best proposals I've ever seen in the past. Wow. Even if I was interested or not. Yeah. And I could just see her coming up with something, even if it's just a small idea to push us in that direction. I know this is in her this is her domain. This is it. So she's gonna love hearing this for sure.
All right, Phil, we're gonna start a company, and the board, we're gonna put people on the board of the company: Mom, Roham, Adam Silver, KG, Crypto Babe. Who else is on the board of our company?
You gotta love this. So no. Okay, well, hold on. Just relax.
Relax. Yeah, no. AG, you're not invited.
I don't know if you saw this. Totally off topic. Speaking of, because you brought Roham's name up, but after that AMA, after all the chaos and all that, people were still pissed. Then he had like some post he made about some donations he was making and stuff like that, and I'm just like, this is just gonna fuel more people, just because it's like, I believe that that's the true him, and I'm gonna get destroyed for saying that. I do. But I can't attest to that, because I haven't been one of the people that's worked for him and is accusing him of being the biggest bully and the biggest, jerk and all that. But I still don't see that side of him. And I don't even know if it really exists. But according to these people, it does. So we have to respect maybe just the idea that might be possible. But I was just thinking when I saw that whole donation thing that he was making I totally forgot what it is. I felt like people are going to feel so trolled by that because they're trying to make him public enemy number one. But then he comes out with that AMA. He addresses things head on. He doesn't he doesn't go around the issue. He says this and this and that. And he's kind of being the Mr. Nice guy, right? And I know people hate that. They prefer the villain where he'd come out and tell
Roham is very calm and tempered. He is very controlled.
Right.
Yes.
So, but we don't know that. According to some of these former employees, he's a freaking
yes,
right?
yes. But publicly, he's
right.
very calm, which is then what makes you doubt the rumors.
I know that pisses
and he's
people
very
off.
good at playing the rich man's game, like philanthropy, giving money, donating, all that kind of stuff. He's very good at that, and that's the role you play. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That and you should, honestly, whether you like to or not. It's like when you have a gobs of money, you should give tons of it away.
We need an undercover personnel, G. We really do. We need someone that goes undercover. And when these stories break, like they become Roham's employee, and then we need like secret cameras in the meeting rooms of like to see if Roham really does go nuts and like slaps people around and stuff like that.
Slaps people around.
Yes.
Okay. Well, these have all been good thoughts. Roham, feel free to steal the business ideas or give us a call. Give us a call. Or as I went on Dumbo's podcast recently to talk about, I don't know, whatever, just what First Mint is, and shared with him how if Roham checks his LinkedIn DMs from 3 years ago, he'll have one from me asking if I can work for Top Shot. Well, it was months before the First Mint existed. So Roham, if you ever want to answer that DM, maybe it's still open, although I really do enjoy what we do now.
You will have to put a bookmark on this podcast for that exact spot. Okay. Roham, listen here.
I'm going to say our podcast get way more listens whenever I put Roham in the title. So that's like an immediate like clickbait trigger for our audience is Roham, anywhere Roham, and people freaking click. And
I used to do that.
Same with the newsletter. Same with
Spaces all the time, like world issues. I hate the world or something like that. And there'd be like a million people that show up, and I'm like, okay, this is a lot.
Yeah, that's what we should.
I have something to say. Used to draw a big crowd. Just because
we should have something generic, or we should just do a spaces every week that's like Roham Shocker, but then there's nothing about Roham. That's the name of the show. Roham shocks the world again, and that's just the name of the show. It's nothing to do with Roham.
Biden disaster, and like a million people show up.
Biden disaster.
It's true though. I learned that a long time ago. Spaces. If you put something outrageous in the title, it shows up on like the trends and stuff.
Yes, because you can search them, and you can get like sometimes you go to the top of Twitter, like some of the spaces are recommended to you, or it's someone like loosely in your network that's part of it or liked it. So totally. All right, Phil, we're as usual, we're approaching the 2-hour mark, which is now becoming a normal thing, although we only talked about NFTs for 45 minutes. There's a couple things I do want to get through before we do hot take, but let's keep them short. These are kind of more quick hit things, both news and questions. I'm just going to go through them in order that I have them. UFC strike this week, dropping Pride FC packs, historical packs. Pride FC preceded UFC, I believe, as an MMA league before being bought out by the UFC. It only existed, I think, for 10 years, from like 1997 to 2007. I don't know a single one of the people that's advertised in the pack. Phil, do you know any of those guys?
I don't know.
Care about the pack? Didn't even look at it. Okay.
Is Ken Shamrock in there?
No, there's no Ken Shamrock. The only person I know is Ken Shamrock. There's no Ken Shamrock.
LG, like we've been at UFC fans forever now. We don't give a shit about these packs. No, I don't know what they're thinking with this. Like this is like saying, I'm trying to see what we could compare.
Pride FC is what it's called. Yeah.
Man, who the hell cares? Unless you're a really deep UFC
So I'll read you. They are Mirko Krokop, Don Fry.
Oh, okay. Krokop, I know.
Randleman. Yeah, Krokop, Kevin Randleman, Kazushi Sakuraba, and more.
I mean, who's your target audience with this stuff, man? Honestly,
I don't know.
Who's buying these and for what? Like,
there's a Silva. Sorry, Anderson Silva's in there.
Okay, well, Anderson Silva's been around forever. But
yeah.
But what's the interest? I mean, as big UFC fans, we don't care. Like, what is this, man? Honestly, you'll listen. You'll have, and this is not a.
And then there's normal UFC moments available in there from like recent
the usual,
fights. Like commons are from normal stuff, but then the rest is all Pride FC. And Phil, so there's 5 NFTs per pack, only 1,300 supply. The packs are $119 each.
Oh my God, are you joking? $119. I thought you
move on. No, move on. Candy dropping their first icons this week. Candy Showstopper. They have tons and tons of supply going on for this season. I'm gonna wait to see how it plays out. I like the people at Candy. I have a good relationship there. So going to give them benefit of the doubt. But last year they did have to stop their drops like a month into the season. So hopefully they don't have to this year. Although what I do like that they're doing, Phil, so they're selling these packs, $43 a pack. There's 2,000 packs or 2021 packs, 10 NFTs. No. Oh, three NFTs per pack. So maybe some of these would be good, but the sales is only live for 24 hours. So even if they only sell 50 packs, it's done after that. So I do like that. I don't like when there's just packs available on the marketplace forever. I think it should be limited. And it's like, if you buy one of them, good for you. And they should fucking burn the rest every time. So this, I am watching this one. This one's on the 29th. So it's on Wednesday, I think pretty early in the day, but I am watching this. I would probably show up and buy a pack or two, depending how sales are going after a couple hours. That's probably what I would do.
I'll say this: see you on the marketplace. This is what I do. First of all, candy pisses me off in the sense that I like collecting from candy, but you still can't load balance. Like, why can't you load balance yet? I don't want a million transactions of $1 or $2 on my debit card or on my credit card. It irritates me. I want to be able to load $20 and kind of manage my finances that way, where I spend that for the next 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hate this thing of having to spend per transaction. It drives me nuts. And Candy's inability to kind of evolve their marketplace and how that whole website looks this many years later, that also drives me nuts. But I still have a lot of Candy. I'm 2 cards away from collecting the entire Hall of Fame set, which I actually, for baseball, for me, that's the only historical, that's the only sport you could sell me on a historical set is baseball, just because for me, cards in general originated with baseball. It takes me back to like the Sandlot. And memories from my childhood was, we had hockey cards. That was a big thing. But baseball for me was like something, that's where it kind of all started in my mind. Anyways. So that 100%. Historical set is really cool for me. And I collect just the core ones, right? They're like $2-3. But hey,
they got some fucking work to do though, man. Because if you want to see that, like they need to have, like, if you're clearly a collector, you're trying to collect the historical set. Is there anywhere that goes and shows you how many of the cards you have and which ones you're missing?
I had to print the list and check them all off.
Sports collectible product needs to approach this like it is the binder that you would bring over to your kid's house or to your friend's house, or your kids now probably have, that they bring over to their friend's house of Pokemon cards or whatever that has all of them in order. Every single these sports collectible companies needs to approach their product like that. Like that's what the website should look like. Should be like, here's the ones you have, here's the ones you don't. Don't you want to buy the ones you don't have? Like
Top Shot's got that down right. They've got it down really good, man. Top Shot's got it down right. You can look at the sets. It'll tell you how many you have. And when you click on it, the ones you have will be in color and the ones you don't will be grayed out. I love that. I can go in there and be like, okay, I'm missing 3, but I don't know what the hell they are. So I can just click on that. But here's the deal. Do you remember when we used to buy the packs of cards at the local store at the Toronto Star? It was called the store beside our house. In those packs, there would be one card that was a checklist. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And that was always the best one because you put that aside and you with your little pen. This is way back in the day. You would check off every single one you have. And because you were missing so many or whatever, guess where you were going next? Right back to that store. I want more because I know I'm missing these ones. Right. Yeah. And that was such a huge thing. If you didn't have that checklist, then you'd never even know what the hell you have in front of you. You don't know what the set is. You'd be like, okay, it says 100 on the back, but how many are there? There's 150, 125. That checklist was everything. I remember that being the biggest card in the pack every time was that checklist.
I like the idea of a checklist because right now things like Top Shot has like a watch list and all that kind of stuff. But I do like the idea of like a checklist of like you tell the site what you like. Anyways. Also, Phil, I just realized looking at the pack sheet, there is a Ken Shamrock, but he's the opponent in a Don Fry.
I was going to say, how's he not in there? Like that doesn't make sense.
So he's the opponent in a Don Fry Pride FC 19. So I'm assuming he gets knocked out or something like that. So anyways, this is a pretty big name that they aren't really featuring. Okay, so those are the 2 main drops this week. There's an ongoing La Liga drop, the $5 a pack, 4 NFTs per pack, 28,000 pack supply. So that's going on as well. There is a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander challenge that started today on Top Shot for the win rare set. So I feel like that is going to be pretty expensive, Phil. I'm only mentioning that because you're a fan. He's one of your favorite players, but I feel like that's going to be a little bit outside of something you're interested in. Let's just take a quick look.
It's not just that, like another
so
Shea moment. Like, geez.
So the floor on OTM is $156 for this moment. The challenge is on for 3 days, 211 completions so far. So, anyways,
I'm in the top 1,000 Shea collectors. All right, and I don't have interest. Like for me, we're at the point where, like, I'll collect it eventually because I'm trying to get everything he has. Like that's how I collect. But like, I don't know. It almost has to be the only time you're ever going to release a moment of a player is when something special happens. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I want to be able to say I know the plays in my collection, but I don't know the plays in my collections. They have no significance.
And like, you have how many moments do you have now? 250 or something?
Almost 300. Yeah. So, but like, I don't know what most of them are. And I wish I did because that would be a big part of it. But a lot of them is like, I have like 5 OG Anunobis, and I don't know. Are they special moments or are they just when he blocked somebody? It's just when he blocked somebody, right?
It's kind of annoying that you kind of have to come that. I mean, I guess this is where like the community part is, but it's like you kind of have to figure that out on your own, right? It's like that's why I kind of designate. I'm like, okay, the debut series 1, I guess so, but really, the rookies are kind of where it's at for me. So, okay, that's good. That's out of the way.
Rookies, it doesn't matter, right? Like if you collect rookies, the moment doesn't matter because that's their rookie moment.
No, it's the rookie card. That's what matters.
Right?
It's a rookie card. Yeah,
but all these random, metallic golds that keep coming out of like Shea and like, what are they? Is that a special moment in time? If not,
it's not even a metallic gold. It's a different rare set, Phil.
Okay, so even that, even a metallic gold,
it's not even the core set.
But for me, a metallic gold should be a special moment, not just a random moment. Because you said you were going to release a moment of this player as a rare. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, these things have to mean something, man. Like this has to start meaning something. I don't know.
Also, quick mention for First Mint this week, I'm going to release the MLB Champions podcast. So check that out. That'll be the next newsletter. Next is going to be in the podcast feed, but that should be a lot of fun. I've interviewed Randy from Crypto Slam about it. And tomorrow I got the interview with Randy, different Randy from Lucid Site, which is the company that made MLB Champions. So a big part of NFT history, the first ever licensed sports NFTs coming your way. Okay, really quick hits. Sorare has hired Pranksy, one of the most infamous NFT collectors, and also a famous pump and dumper in the Top Shot and I think CryptoKitties ecosystem. He is literally creating like a separate show that's going to be about Sorare stuff. Following Rug Radio has done the same thing. So clearly Sorare, like it's very fucking expensive to pay these types of companies, these types of influencers for like them doing exclusive content about Sorare. So Sorare not afraid to spend on the influencers. Nick Gruden, who was hired as the chief business officer of Dapper from Meta back in August, has now taken a job back at Meta. So he's back at Facebook with literally no idea what he did for 7 months at Dapper other than collect a paycheck. No fucking clue what that guy did. So I don't know.
Who's left at Dapper? Seriously.
Yeah, Dumbo, Roham, Alan. Yeah. This is the CryptoKitties people plus Luke. That's pretty much it. And Jacob and Packrip. That's it. And then the big rumor that nobody knows about, there is F1, which may be coming to Huxley Saga. So Huxley Saga, nobody knows what this project is, but I'm very deep into it. I have huge bags in Huxley. Is developed by a guy named Ben Morrow, who was a designer on like all these huge games like Halo, like literally like a game designer for a long time, lives in Seattle. And we've done a couple things with him at some of our festivals, but he has his own project called Huxley Saga. And that project is run by a parent company called Feature.io, which is supposed to be this big entertainment company. And they've been hinting that this week they have a major partnership announcement. And when people in the comments like wrote F1 and put F1 gifs, their CEO like wrote back a freaking lollipop. So I don't know what that means, but honestly, the look of the Huxley NFTs, I'm absolutely in love with it. They have like a multiplayer demo game coming out this week, so I'm going to be playing it. Unrelated to sports, but we'll update you on that, whether they have actual F1 NFTs. Phil has already stated that he will not be interested in any new NFTs whatsoever, but we'll see what he says when that actually comes out. I hope it's not underwhelming.
That will be.
Yeah. I hope it's not underwhelming, honestly, because now it's like I feel like I'm building it up just a little too much. So we'll see. Phil, 2 hours, 5 minutes into this. My glass of water is empty, but we're not stopping there. We have one last very important thing to do, and that is go through the hot take of the week, which we skipped last week, but it's back this week. and I'm going to read my favorite. I handpicked 12 answers. I'm not going to tell you who said them so that there's no bias.
I actually didn't look at them, so that's
Phil
great.
has not read them. Okay, and everybody, again, we're going to post this Monday mornings, a hot take of the week, where you come and you answer the question, a hot take of the week. We want it to be really fucking weird. Okay, don't give us logical answers. I appreciate everybody who gave a logical answer this week. That's not what we want. We want really weird shit. The hot take this week, and this is for a prize. Yes. This is for a prize. We haven't determined the prize, but Phil's going to choose the prize. It's going to be something that like a $50 moment or something on Top Shot, or maybe we'll just ask the winner what they want.
Wow.
The take was, what is the best way for a sports project to win Phil's affection? Okay, that was the question. I don't want logical things. A lot of people wrote logical things of like, we want a great roadmap. No. We want the dumbest things you can think of, the silliest things. We want to have fun here at the end of every show. So, Phil, I'm going to read to you my favorite answers. Okay, and then you're just going to tell me, like, I guess you know what you can do is tell me yes, like just keep or pass for each one, and then we'll go back to the short list after. Okay, I think that's the easiest way to do it. Sorry, I'm just open. Yeah, so I'll read it to you and say like keep it or pass it, and then we'll go back to the keepers, and then you can decide from there which one is the number one. Okay,
let's rock and roll.
Okay, so how can an NFT project win Phil D's affection? Answer number one. Oh, hold on, that was too good. I can say that for the end. Send him free stuff. You want to pass or keep it?
No, I'll keep that one. I like that.
Okay. Sending Phil a jersey of the most obscure Toronto team-based athlete.
No. You're not gonna send me a what the hell's that guy on the Leafs named Lafferty? I don't want that. I don't know. Anyways, yeah.
NFTs of the second round of playoffs.
Second round of playoffs.
I don't know.
Because I don't understand a single word of that, I will pass. I would usually keep something like that, but I have no clue what this is.
Only got one. Okay. An unmodded Discord where hell is loose.
Oh, 100% yes.
Okay.
That's someone that knows me.
This next one, shouting, and it's shouting, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark.
Shouting? That's it?
That's
all they wrote?
it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
Get that shot out of here, man. That's not crap.
No, all right. No shouting.
Like shouting what? I'm shouting. You're shouting.
I don't know. Stress tests at 3 a.m. with a website that doesn't work and makes you refresh 100 times, but ultimately being one of only a handful to land the pack.
I mean, if this was 2 years ago, yes. But I mean, like stress tests now. I remember the last few stress tests we've heard about where there was like zero interest. Mm-hmm. But how about this? The key word you are missing in there, whoever put that, is free. Okay? Free stress test. Do not charge me the full price for a stress test.
Wow.
So no,
passing on this one?
I'll pass on that one. If the word free was in there, I'd say yes, but it's not there.
Okay. Best way, free Tim Hortons coffee and donut with pack purchase. Worst way, Dwayne Wade partnership.
Oh, God. First of all, it's Hortons, not Tim Hortons. We don't go by Tim Hortons around here. I'll just because it's very Canadian, I'll keep that one for now.
Okay. Okay. Still alive. Just survives. Just
survived. Yeah.
Okay. Hashtag build more roads into and out of his city to alleviate some hashtag traffic headaches.
100% keep that one.
Okay.
That is fantastic.
Sign up bonus, free burgers at Johnny's.
Ooh, who said that one? That's close to home. If you know Johnny's, that's Johnny's, definitely close to home. You're from Toronto. Actually, you're from a certain part of Toronto. If you know what Johnny's is. You're not from the West End or anything. Nobody out there.
No, you're from the East End of Toronto.
You're from the East End of Toronto.
Yeah, you know what that is.
Well, I'll keep that one. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, only 3 more. Allow him to shout abuse at kids' sports referees from the stands. People are never going to forget that you're an abusive coach.
I know this is a rapid round, but I have to bring something up. I heard you say or write somewhere this week that at a game where I was coaching you, in high school or hockey, That hold on. Can you repeat what you said? Because that absolutely never happened.
It 100% happened. Okay, so my last year of house league, because I'm not a good hockey player. So my last year of house league, so I'm like 17, last year of high school. And it's like, this is it. After that, there's no youth programs anymore. I played on this team and we couldn't find a coach. So they hired Phil. And Phil's only a couple years older than me. So everybody was like, like all the guys on the team, like your brother, like we know your brother. So it was weird. But Phil came in, Phil did a great job. We had a good season. And I'm pretty sure there's a we had like a Christmas tournament or something like that. And I got so mad during one of the games, and I'm 17 at the time, that I was like passing a player after a whistle and I spat on him. And Phil, when I got back to the bench, Phil was like, hey, like, don't spit on the other players. Literally, like in the calmest way I've ever heard you speak to me.
Oh, is that what the story is?
Yes. You're like, hey, don't
I read it that you wrote that I told everyone to spit on other players. That's what I wrote.
You said you know, and then I added that part. I added that part just for fun.
I was like, I never did that. I was like, that's all I saw.
The real story. So the real story is that, yeah, that's the real story. But the story I put on Twitter is that you told me to spit on somebody. That's not true. Anybody who read that? That's not true.
I would not true. Oh my god, that's all I saw. I'm like, what is LG on right now? Like he's just saying anything. Like this is he sounded like Mr. Nice or whatever that guy's name is, just by saying whatever in his stories. Adding to the story. Okay. So back to that one. Can you read it again? Oh, I can go to a kid's sporting event and just
allow him to shout abuse at kids sports referees from the stands.
I don't want to do that. I just don't. Okay. Those days are long gone for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's gone.
Okay. Next, only two more. Phil loves physical plus digital. Free hairy caterpillar extermination with each purchase. And a Jamal Murray jersey is shipped with a pack of matches.
For creativity, I'll keep that one. But you know what? I might throw you out just for reminding me of those caterpillars. We did not get them last year like we expected 2 years ago. No, but they didn't come back last year. They were supposed to.
Yeah, well.
I cleaned out almost the entire neighborhood of their nests and stuff before the summer came. Mm-hmm. And they were gone. They didn't come back, which I didn't see a single one last year. So those are terrible memories, but I'll keep that one. I like that one.
Okay. And last one that I shortlisted, and this one came in like an hour ago while we were recording. Reflecting on all money wasted on NBA Top Shot, I'd rather spend the Oh no, wait, sorry. This is actually a response to a different question. Forget it. This is a different thing. No, sorry, that's my bad. Okay, so we got the short list. Okay, so we have send him free stuff. Unmodded Discord where hell is loose. Tim Hortons coffee and donut with pack purchase. Build more roads out of his city to alleviate traffic headaches. Free burgers at Johnny's. And a hairy caterpillar extermination and Jamal Murray jersey with a pack of matches.
Okay. So I'm going to immediately eliminate the Jamal Murray one for the simple fact that I don't want to give him any more attention than we already have on all these shows.
Okay.
And it'd be really petty of me to burn his jersey. Mm-hmm. I still support him as a Canadian basketball player, but I just don't respect him the way I used to. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to sink to that level. It is a great thought for sure. Mm-hmm. I will also eliminate the building new roads because you could throw billions of dollars at this city here and they still won't use it on that. So that's not even an option. It's just not realistic enough. They've been given every penny in the world to do something about the problems here, and they decided to build an LRT or whatever the hell that thing is that's still going on. It's been being built for 20 years, and it's still not ready, and it's not going to do anything. So the money's wasted everywhere. They would never do that. Okay, so those two are out of the picture. What do we have left? We've got 5 left.
Hold on. You want to get rid of okay, so you want to get rid of the roads one. Okay. So
the roads is gone. The
roads is
gone. Is gone.
Yeah. So we have free burgers at Johnny's. Tim Hortons coffee and donut with pack purchase, unmodded Discord, and free stuff.
Okay, so I'm going to eliminate the Johnny's burgers for the simple fact that even if I did get free burgers at Johnny's, I would have to line up for like 2 hours to get them. That's also not my vibe. Had you said a line bypass to get Johnny's whenever I want, that probably would have won. But I'm not down for standing in line, and they're not open on Sundays. Okay, so that's eliminated. That leaves us with 3. Correct? Is my math wrong?
Free Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
Unmodded Discord, free stuff.
Okay. Out goes Tim Hortons. I can't handle any more Tim Hortons. Honestly, it's like no more. I don't even go to Tim Hortons for coffee anymore. If I go for coffee, it's probably McDonald's, Starbucks, something like that. Tim Hortons has a major problem in this city is that if you go any Tim Hortons after 5 p.m., they have no food left. I'm so pissed at Tim Hortons. You order like a chicken noodle soup at 6 p.m. and they don't, oh, we don't have any more. Dude, you're a 24-hour restaurant. How do you not have soup anymore? So yeah, that pissed me off recently. That's a story for another time. So out goes Gordon's. Down to free stuff and
unmodded Discord where hell is loose.
I love free stuff. Whoever put that, I love free stuff. Like I really do.
Like,
you want to keep showering me with free stuff. I love it.
Wow.
But I am going with unmodded Discord because you know how much I love when a new Discord opens. We go in there and just cause mass chaos. That is one of my favorite things, and it actually gets me to look into the project. I'm not gonna lie. If I hear about something, like it doesn't matter what it is, I'll actually give it a chance instead of just brushing it off. If you allow me into this Discord and you allow me to put the big bird kicking the door down gif, and then just go crazy for about an hour. That's about the average time I spend in new Discords is an hour to go crazy. So with no mods in there, I love that. The no mods thing is amazing. I love that.
Wow.
Because I know LG, you hate it just as much as me when you can't post links or GIFs in Discords. There's nothing worse.
It's awful. There's no reason. Like, just have better moderators who will remove the porn. That's the only thing they're worried about in the scams. Just get some real mods. Don't do anything else, man. It's insane. All right. Well, are you ready to see who wrote those two?
Yeah, absolutely.
The winner and the finalist.
It has to be someone we've known for a long time because it's people know my vibe.
So the send him free stuff was from none other than Jen Pseudo.
Oh, wow.
So Jenny from the blockchain wrote, send him free stuff. And she wrote it like immediately on the tweet.
I must have mentioned it before. That's pretty obvious. Wow.
And then the winner who wrote unmodded Discord, hell is loose, is from Apox.
Wow.
Soturi76, who is part of Genies and Pirates of the Metaverse and a lot of other stuff. Somebody who knows you well for sure.
Apox definitely knows me well. That's I'm telling you, I'm assuming a lot of the other ones in there. Who said the Johnny's Burger one? I'm really intrigued by that. That's got to be somebody from Toronto. Is that someone like KJ or someone like that?
I got to find it now.
I removed it. He is not from the East End.
No, it wasn't KJ.
Someone from Jurassic Park, ironically.
It was Ray's one. Ray R11. I don't know.
Damn, that's
Ray's one. I think I said no Ray's one, but I don't remember from where.
Okay. Well, congratulations, Apox.
Yeah.
That's a very, very good answer. And that's exactly what we're looking for. Like LG said, not looking for the typical answer of what was the one you said? You said something like utility or
people like listen, I appreciate everybody who wrote real answers, but I just want to be very clear with this. We are not looking for real answers. We're looking for crazy answers. Okay.
Crazy
shit.
We
want really weird shit. There's a hot take. It's supposed to be stupid. It's not supposed to be a real solution. So that's where we want these things to go next time. Okay. So I appreciate all those thoughts. Send them into Dapper. Don't send them to us. And otherwise, just write something super fun. So congrats, Apox. So you're going to get a $50 moment of your choosing. Congratulations. That's really a fantastic cool prize. Yeah.
Congrats to Jen Pseudo too. I definitely, like I said, has to be someone who's known us for a long time. I've been talking about this stuff for a long time. So,
and I just want to say, clearly, Phil, we had a big field there and you slowly trended to shorter and simple ones. So you prefer short things.
You're right.
Both of those was only a couple words. So the long ones weren't as sexy. Feel very simple message, free stuff and unmodded Discord that's chaotic. Those are the Phil's simple guy. Phil's simple taste. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah, short and sexy. That's all he wants. So, well, Phil, I didn't think we'd set a record this week, but we did. 2 hours and 23 minutes. We're at
getting out of control.
Literally just talking to each other. So this has been fun, and I think we can wrap it up there. Thanks for all the great thoughts and sharing. And congrats again. On your when's the victory parade for your house league team?
I've been asked many times, are we doing a celebration dinner?
You gotta have a pizza party or whatever. I don't know what 13-year-olds care about, but you gotta have something
house league. So I said, you know what? I kind of sent a sign-off email to everybody yesterday and I said goodbye. So you know what? Yes, it's all I've been thinking about all day. It really has been on my mind ever since we won. And it's continuing to settle in because for me, it's still a big achievement and all that hard work actually paid off. But I don't know that I want to kind of extend it in the sense that it happened now. It's over. Yeah, I'm very attached to the people it happened with, and I'd love to kind of hang out with them again. But at the same time, it is what it is. People are going their own ways now, and we'll see you next year. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Oh
Probably,
no, I don't. You
probably
need
whatever.
some party. You need a party or something.
You think
man.
so?
You gotta have
Like a
yeah,
celebration?
absolutely, man. I guess the kids
Okay.
are too old for like a Chuck E. Cheese or something like that. But you gotta.
Right.
There's got to be something. I don't know what 13, 14
here's the
year olds
question
in
though.
school, but
Do you
yeah.
invite the parents to something like this? Because then you'll have the awkward situation of the parents all have to sit together at a table, and they may not even know each other, although they do by now.
And I guess there's no budget, right? You don't have like a budget, like the league.
Who's paying for
budget?
this?
And,
No,
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. There's no money.
No.
Like the team doesn't have any money.
It's
Some
not a
clubs
free
have money.
meal. It's not a free meal.
Take them all to an arcade for 2 hours, like that kind of thing.
None of that stuff. So like, I mean, and you're also not going
You guys don't have a sponsor? The league or the team doesn't have a sponsor? There's no sponsor?
Well, I mean, if there is, it was only to make jerseys and stuff like that, right? It's not.
Yeah. There's no Johnny's Burgers or something like that. I don't know, something like that. It'd take everybody
a small place like that, yeah. But do you invite the parents? Is the question, right?
Yeah, it's weird if you invite the parents. It's more fun. It's more like the kids should celebrate with each other. You know what I mean?
Just
like
drop your kids off. Yeah, I like that actually. I like that because then I don't have to entertain any parents at the same time, and it's just the kids come pick them up in an hour, and But then, hey, you bring $20.
Yeah, something like that. I don't think that's bad. I think okay. Like the kids.
I'll take your advice on that. I know they all want that.
Listen. I know not everybody has the means, but hockey's an expensive sport, man. If they can afford to get their kid on the ice, then they can afford to put $20 in their pocket to go to the arcade for an hour or two.
100%.
Team.
Here's the deal.
And then you can you or the other coaches, or you can ask a few of the parents if they want to dish out for some food and sodas and stuff like that at the arcade or something.
So here's the one thing though that I almost need to do this is after the game, in the middle of the chaos, the convener of the league came up to me and gave me all these things I was supposed to give to the kids after, like packs of hockey cards, like these special like coupons, all this thing.
Yeah.
And I forgot about all that stuff. Like I put it in the bag when I was leaving, and I look and even more importantly, I forgot to give out the MVP award for the playoffs. Okay, but I'm not too mad about that because I'm not going to lie. I actually don't want to give that out. I don't. Nobody deserves it more than everyone else. We won as a team. If you were going to give that out, I'd give it to the goalie anyways, right? Just that's like the neutral thing to do. And I don't think that we had such a good season as a team that I have no interest in pissing people off as their final thought about this team by saying
no. It should just be purely. Or people used to do banquets. I don't know if you remember that when we were in house league. There used to be a banquet.
You're right. They used
for like the whole league or whatever. It's probably too expensive now.
Mr. Congeniality and stuff. Like if you didn't take a penalty all year,
dude, that's what I won, man. Why are you laughing at it? That's a dad's obsessed. That's another thing dad's obsessed with is when I won the Mr. Congeniality award, and only now as an adult, and I'm like, I don't want to win that shit. What the hell, man? Like, the
LG of today would have went bonkers in that league and probably killed
see what happened. I won Mr. Congeniality, and a couple years later, I was spitting on people. Don't give your kids nice guy awards because they're gonna turn into psychos like me, man.
Yeah. And even most improved. It's like I'm like, they're too old for this. They gave me medals for that. I'm like, nah, I'll shut
No, they're not. They're too old. Yeah, they like honestly take them to the arcade, take them something that's super basic and fun, and just give them a bunch of pizza and shit.
It's a good idea. One last hurrah because we won, just because we won. Right?
Yeah, 100%. Or bring him in the movies. What's a cool? Go see John Wick 4. There you go.
I hate the movies. It's not made for anything. You're not talking to each other. It doesn't make sense.
It's true. Yeah. It's not a social atmosphere to go to the movies. Yeah, that's fair. All right, Phil D, let's wrap out. Great to see you as always for like a really extended amount of time. This is getting close to the live shows of
We're gonna have to put a shot clock. We're gonna have to put a shot clock and see if we
I think it's good. Listen, I think we're getting good feedback on these long ones. So I'm gonna keep it going. Listen, I put the markers in the description and on YouTube and everywhere that says like what we talk about where. People can easily just look at the description and skip to the parts they want if they don't want all the personal stuff. But I don't know, it feels genuine to do the more personal stuff. So I say let's keep it running. But yeah, anyways, enjoy the rest of your night, bro.
You too, bro. And go to sleep, Sleepy Joe. We don't want to hear you anymore.